Good morning, everyone. We're going to get kicked off this morning with our work session for budgeting this morning. Thank you all. Thank you all for being here this morning. I'm going to ask Commissioner Edwards. I kicked us off yesterday. You mind kicking us off today, please? Thank you.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, thank you for another wonderful day to do the business of the county. We ask for your guidance, your blessings, and your wisdom. We ask these things in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Again, thank you so much for being here for this budgeting session. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Cooper, please, County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members, honorable judge. We come before you today, day 2 of our budget workshops. And as I stated on yesterday, I truly believe after doing a cursory review of the presenters that is going to come before this board today, that their wants are their needs. So we'll get an opportunity to hear from all of them, starting with the Honorable Judge Wynn. And I'll yield my remaining time to our Finance Director, Ms. Brittany Way.
Good morning. So today of our budget workshop, the beginning part of the day, we are going to have all of our elected officials. So the elected officials will begin with Judge Wynn starting at 9:30. We will have lunch at 12, from 12 to 1, and then we will come back and hear from 3 more elected officials until 2 o'clock. And then starting at 2:15, we'll start with our appropriation request. So if you want to start in your book with Judge Wynn and the Superior Court budget, that will begin on page 163 of your notebook.
Thank you, Judge Wynn, for being here this morning, our Chief Judge, to make sure we say that. Again, thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to present the budget on behalf of the Superior Courts of the Alcovy Judicial Circuit, specifically Newton County. You'll notice that our budget request is not, or has not increased significantly. I would like to point out 2 line items to you that I did request an increase for, and one is in juror fees. And I don't have which account that is or which line item that is, but it's $100,000 up from $90,000 last year. The reason for that would be that we do anticipate a death penalty trial in the next fiscal year, and so I have increased that amount, that request, by $10,000 to help offset the cost of that. And juror supplies increased from $5,000 to $6,000 to account for that as well. I think everything else is pretty well in line with the FY24 budget. Any questions about those?
Thank you, sir. Any questions, guys? No questions. Thank you so much, sir.
Well, I do want to tell you, just to let you know that our accountability courts continue to function very well with the help of the county commission. As you know, we fund those courts with a combination of grants, participant fees, and county funding, local funding. And so I just wanted to let you know that the money that you invest in that is well spent. I will share with you some data that I received from the Council of Accountability Court Judges, that the statewide drug court 3-year felony rearrest rate, the recidivism rate for felony rearrests within 3 years of graduation from drug court is 28.3%, but our court's 3-year felony rearrest rate is 10%. And so the investment that you all make in our accountability courts pays off for the good of everybody here in Newton County, and I just want y'all to know that. That's a credit to your wisdom in seeing the value of those treatment courts, so thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for actually holding those courts and getting that opportunity to the citizens here, so we greatly appreciate it as well.
Last thing is that I think Mr. McGinley and Mr. Carter, the DA and the public defender, will make a request for a pay scale for their attorneys and their offices. We'd like to be included in that pay scale for our law clerks. so that all the attorneys in the circuit basically are treated the same from a compensation standpoint. So if you could consider including, when you consider their request, if you would lump law clerks, county-paid law clerks in with that, we'd appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
All right, if there are no questions, I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So, the reason hers is reduced is because she has two positions that last year's budget were.
Guys, we're gonna go to a quick recess right quick. All right. Thank you.
Last year's budget was filled with different people, so when she hired new people.
Guys, we're gonna enter back into our work session. Ms. Brittany?
Thank you. Well, okay, I think we're good now. All right, our next presenter is going to be Juvenile Court Judge Branch, and her information begins on page 176 of your book.
Good morning, good morning.
How are y'all doing?
We're wonderful. How y'all doing this morning?
We're doing fine. I think that I don't know, I'm hoping that we're gonna be your easiest client to deal with today. Because things have been going really great in juvenile court. I wanted to thank y'all again. I mean, our truancy program has just taken off like with wings. We had the best meeting we had so many people, but with our new superintendent and law enforcement and Superior Court judges and all this, we're really working on with education with the kids and keeping the ed neglect and the truancy cases at bay. If you noticed in some of our information, we were pleased. We got, I think, about it's almost right under $100,000 grant that we were awarded, that we're working with all of our young children and teenagers for individual therapy, family therapy, all kinds of groups, and keeping them in school. I've got parent aides and behavioral aides now that they go into the home, believe it or not, make sure kids are up and teach parents how to do this. So it's helping our numbers so much. So I just wanted to throw that out there and thank you because that's been a huge help when we got our truancy intake officer, and we're really excited. As far as our budget, and you can look through, everything has been great. We only had 2 items that we were really considering. The first, which is the printing and binding. The only reason I think we went over budget is because the cost of getting the forms for sheriff service went up, and we do have to basically do sheriff service. I don't think we have an option here, so we were asking for an additional $1,000 just for those forms. The other issue to talk about is it's become not just an issue in our county, but kind of everywhere, that it is hard for us to get conflict attorneys. We have our 4 that are great, that are our contract attorneys, but they're often, we have to get other attorneys in addition to them. It may be a case where we need more attorneys on it, or it may be one that they have a conflict and they can't represent somebody, say they dealt with this family in a different county, or there's something else going on there. So trying to get them to come to Newton has been difficult because of just the amount that we've paid them. I don't think we've had an increase in I don't know how many years on the hourly rates. We were looking around, and I'll get Judge Egger to give you some of the numbers here, but I will just give you an example. I was kind of laughing. I was like, well, great timing. When I was kind of putting this together, we got this notice from our Bar Association that Gwinnett County sent this huge flyer out, and I've got it, but they were asking for attorneys because for their courts, and we're going to put their rates out. And y'all are welcome to pass this around and see it. I'm just going to step up here real fast. But like Gwinnett County with juvenile court is paying like $100 an hour, and we've been, at least half of that. So we're not asking for a big increase, but we think that we need to be somewhat competitive. I've had attorneys that we ask to be on cases, and they just say, it's gonna cost me more basically to come to your court. It's not worth my time. I can go to Gwinnett or go somewhere else and make more money. So I'm gonna let Judge Edgar kind of tell you how we were looking at the numbers, and it's, we do have a $10,000 kind of buffer already set in for those attorneys. We're asking for an additional $10,000. I'm gonna let you explain that.
So basically what the rate, as Judge Branch mentioned, well, I guess I'll kind of walk you through it. We collectively, the court and the county, are required to provide indigent representation to parents and guardian ad litems and attorneys for children. It's not optional. Majority, as you can imagine, in dependency cases where socioeconomic factors are a major indicator of some of the issues, we do have to have, almost all of our cases require multiple attorneys. So we have done this, and we think we do it successfully because we're constantly talking to other courts. We have 4 contract attorneys. That almost covers all of our needs, and that is the bulk of the line item. But we, as Judge Branch mentioned, we do from time to time have to go beyond that, and we are currently paying $45 an hour for their out-of-court time, $60 an hour for in-court time. And as I know y'all review attorney's bills, you know that's a very, very, very low rate, okay? And it needs to be quality representation because we are talking about potentially taking children away from their parents. So it's a very, very serious what we're dealing with. That's not enough. Quite frankly, it's not enough across the state. So we've investigated, talked to a number of places. Judge Branch mentioned the bar is actually assisting Gwinnett. And so what we're looking at after our research is going up to $70 an hour for in-court time and $55 an hour for out-of-court time. It's not a lot, but it gets us comparable with surrounding counties and other rates that are for this type of work. These are specialized attorneys. We can't just bring in anybody. A brand new attorney off the street really is not qualified to do this work, so we do have to have experienced attorneys and we need to pay them. And so as you'll see, we took our 2023 numbers and projected if the rate had gone up of what that would be, and that's where we get our $10,000 increase. So our total expected expenditures is around $256,000, which is why we're asking for the $10,000 increase over $246 from last year. That is just a projection. We might not end up needing that many attorneys as needs change and factors change, but that's what we think. So we don't want to have to come back and ask for money later when we've gone over budget. So.
Do y'all have any questions about that?
Thank you. Any questions, guys? No questions? Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Judge Branch. Thank you all so much for the presentation. I think the work that you're doing to help our youth is great, and we want to continue to find ways where we can help them prior in hopes that they don't get through the court system. So that's our goal, to prevent them from getting there. And so I think if we can put programs in place to kind of help from getting them in the system would be amazing. I was looking at your budget. Thank you for, I'm looking at 2024 to 2025, and it's a reduction of $21,086. And so it looks like with that reduction and then what you're asking for in regards to the indigent defense legal services comes to $20,634. So it kind of balances that out. So thank you for finding a way to make that happen. It will be great to see more departments kind of work that out, so that when it comes before us, it makes it a little bit easier for us and for our finance director and our county manager and all of us to make a great.
She's our big help.
When I tell you she's amazing,
I know.
and so we're glad that she's here. And so I just want to say thank you for that.
Thank you.
For balancing out that budget to be able to make that happen.
Thank you. We appreciate it. And I think that we're doing really well. We're pleased with everything and the more the programs that we're putting in. And this, just so you know, the grant that we did receive, they gave us a while for it to fill up. It was full with children within, I think, a month and a half, 2 months. And so we are going steady and strong with it. So we're really happy, and we'll apply for it again for the following year. It's helping a lot.
Well, thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you so much, and thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. We appreciate everything. Y'all have a great day.
Y'all too. Thank you so
All
much.
right, thank you. Bye. Thanks, Rick.
See you later. Thank you. Oh, oh. Hey guys, we're gonna go in for a recess, quick recess. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. We're gonna go back into session. Ms. Brittany, if you will.
Thank you. We're going to start with Judge Bell now, and she will be presenting both the probate and magistrate court budgets, and that can be found starting on page 210 of your notebook.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, sir. I'm going to hand these out real quick.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank y'all for squeezing me in. What I gave you is to kind of just give you an update of where we are. The first 3 pages are our 2023 caseload report that we make to the administrative office of the courts every year. You can see Magistrate Court was very busy. We had 7,722 cases, civil cases that were filed. That is does not take into account the numbers that are on there, but the warrants that were issued, search warrants, first appearance hearings, and other criminal matters we handled, including county ordinances. In probate, we had a very successful year. One of the things the AOC looks at as to whether or not you're managing your caseload is, are you closing more cases than you open? We weren't able to achieve that last year in magistrate court simply because, as y'all know, y'all are actually nice enough to give me another clerk during the budget cycle because we were so overwhelmed by our dispossessories. So we are caught up now, but we did get a little behind because of that. Probate did close more cases than we opened in every aspect of the court. Traffic has been insane. Traffic court, as you see, we had 6,580 citations through traffic court. Those are done by the deputies and by Georgia State Patrol. Just to let you know about what court is looking for us, as you know, we have 2 courtrooms now. Courtroom A, which is the courtroom that was built using ARPA funds, that is in use 5 days a week. And courtroom B, which is the original courtroom we have, which is now the smaller courtroom, that is also in use every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, at least, and then we leave room for emergency hearings, which happen. Our traffic calendars, our last 3 traffic calendars, Tuesday we had 242 people on the calendar. We had 238 the week before that and 203 the week before that. So about 200 people every Tuesday is what our traffic court has kind of settled into in this new normal following the pandemic. I'm just going to hit highlights for you, and then I'll take any questions, obviously. The biggest changes you're going to see in the magistrate budget have to do with professional contracted services. We're kind of running through interpreter money. We have, which I know in particular Commissioner Mason is, because I think the increase of Hispanic citizens grew most last we heard in his district. But we have had a lot of use of our Spanish interpreters for both first appearance hearings and other hearings. where we're dealing with people who speak Spanish. We're also seeing more, the use of more Russian interpreters and Korean interpreters, and all of those are paid for by the court. So I increased my line item for interpreters. Also, I have a solicitor that prosecutes county ordinance cases. I've been paying him $1,000 a month. He's also a defense attorney over in traffic court, and when I kind of had to renegotiate with all of my lawyers, because no one really wanted to keep doing the job for what they were getting paid. He was getting paid $500 a day for his 2 days in county ordinance court. He can make that in less than 2 hours. And the dates were becoming, because code enforcement and animal services are, I don't want to say full staff because I don't know that, but definitely have increased their staff. Our court days are longer, and so he was losing out on money from his personal practice. So I am requesting that be increased to $1,000 a day. Indigent defense, it shows up in 2 places, but we don't ever actually put money in both places. It's currently being paid, we pay a supplement to Mark Yun, Y-U-N, who is an assistant public defender at the public defender's office. We pay him a $6,000 a year supplement to be our defense attorney for county ordinance court. We have less need there because the charges are not as serious when you're talking about like DUIs and things like that, where you might go to jail for longer periods of time. However, Mr. Yun is now carrying both the Newton County Juvenile Court defense caseload, the Walton County juvenile defense caseload for the public defender, and my court. So I feel like at some point in the next fiscal year, I'm gonna have to find a private attorney that can do that. So I've just added $3,000 to that, just to try and entice somebody to be willing to help us out. Our postage has been really high this year just because of the number of filings. I had my chief clerk look at those, and Magistrate were, I think, 700 civil cases ahead right now of where we were at this time last year. And last year was the highest year we've had since 2019. So postage has gone up, and supplies by way of just paper and toner and envelopes and all of that has gone up. Small equipment, I'm asking for 2 things in the magistrate budget. Courtroom B has the original furniture from when the building was built in 1998 and opened in 1999. If you sit in those chairs, you feel like you're gonna fall through the floor, like fall to the ground. So it's kind of time that we need to replace those. We've obviously gotten good use out of them since they are over 20 years old, or I guess pushing 30. So I'm asking for the money to pay, and I got an updated idea of how much those would cost that's in the budget. Also asking for a system to amplify sound. We have a recording system, but there's never been anything in that courtroom to amplify sound, which has always driven me nuts when I was a prosecutor and as a judge. It can be very difficult when you're trying to have hearings and the witness is soft-spoken or the attorneys are soft-spoken. So we're asking for money where they would wire it like this is and like it is in courtroom A, where it runs through the speakers in the courtroom that are there for security purposes, but can be wired to also provide sound in there. Probate court, the biggest ask in that budget is I am asking for a law clerk or staff attorney. So that's probably my biggest request. Obviously, all the Superior Court judges have their own law clerks. Each individual judge has one. I'm asking for one to serve both courts. There is a letter of support in the packet I gave you from Judge Wynn, the chief judge, and he kind of lays out the purpose of a law clerk and why they're beneficial and necessary. We pulled the numbers yesterday. I pulled them with the help of our executive director for probate, just to kind of let you know kind of how I rank compared to other probate judges. There's only 39, actually right now there's 37 counties where the probate judge is also the chief magistrate. There'll be 2 more in 2025, January. Both of those counties have a population of less than 3,000. So even taking all 39, only 14 have more than 10,000 citizens in their 2023 census projections. 5 have more than 20,000, and we are the only one that has 30,000 or more. So most probate judges, I'm the only Article 6 judge, which we became when I took office in 2017. When your population reaches 90,000, the probate judge has to be an attorney because we can now conduct jury trials. And because of that, the courts also take on a lot more responsibility with regard to trusts. I have some concurrent jurisdiction, which doesn't mean a lot to y'all, but I'm basically ending up with trust cases that Superior Court used to deal with. Now they end up down in probate court. So because of that, I'm in court a lot because I'm handling both courts. I am the only Article 6 court that does not have either an associate judge or a law clerk, and I'm one of only 3 that doesn't have both. I do have an associate judge that y'all gave me in 2019, but again, none of those judges are running 2 courts. They're only running 1 court with that additional personnel. And so Judge Wynn kind of lays out for you why it's necessary, because everyone always thinks about us being on the bench and being in the courtroom, but that's half of our job. And the other half takes place in chambers when you're writing orders and making rulings. And if you're in court all the time, you can't get those done. But if you have a law clerk, they can prepare those. Then you're just at a point of editing and fine tuning versus doing everything from scratch. Currently what I'm doing is I worked till 9 o'clock last night. I work most weekends, 6 to 8 hours on the weekend as well, just to try and keep up with the amount of orders we're having to write. My standard orders are usually gonna be somewhere between 9 and 15 pages. So that's not something you can do really quick during the day while you're doing everything else. So that's why I'm asking for that position, to speed up the resolution of those matters, and just to be in line with the other judges. I did talk to Judge Branch. She said that the only reason she doesn't feel like she needs a law clerk is she's only dealing with 1 court, and DFACS, her most lengthy orders are in those deprivation cases, and most of the time DFACS prepares those orders for them. Other big changes in probate, we have 2 solicitors now. Y'all approved that a couple weeks ago. Kara Hooks has been my solicitor for 5 years in probate court, and I've been paying her $2,000 a month for 4 court days. That used to kind of be, we'd go till 12:30, 1:30, occasionally 2 o'clock. I was in court until from 8:30 to 4:30 with a 50-minute lunch break on Tuesday. So was losing out on a lot of money, and she was having her 4th child. So she came to me in October and said, I'm gonna take a step back. I can't do this anymore. It's not worth the money for me, and I'm just out of my office so much. I'm actually losing money to be your solicitor. But I'm gonna give you the heads up, so you have until January to replace me. And Judge Bryant and I spent, I cannot tell you how many hours begging attorneys to come be our solicitor, and they all said, absolutely not. You have way too big of a caseload, and you don't pay enough. So I went to Judge Wynn and asked him for suggestions. He suggested all the same people I had talked to, but his recommendation, which matched what other courts are paying, was to basically pay the solicitor $1,000 a day for court, which does double the payment in that line item. But as I said, they typically around here, people are making $275 to $350 an hour. These are all private attorneys that do this partially as sort of a service to the community. And so I've had to increase that line item. I also met with my 2 indigent defense attorneys. They do carry a pretty significant caseload in my court, and it has continued to grow exponentially over the last 8 months. They kind of called a sit down and said, look, we can't keep doing this. And so you're gonna have to find other people. Asked what I could do to keep them, because I knew I couldn't even find a solicitor. How was I gonna find more people? And they basically kind of said, we either need you to get increase our money to $2,000 a month instead of $1,800, and get a third attorney so that the work is more evenly distributed, or we're asking that you pay us $2,500 a month. Now, when I say they're handling cases, they pick up a speeding or something like that, but most of what they're handling is DUIs or license cases where the person's gonna go to jail for a period of time. A DUI lawyer on the cheap side to represent you in a probate court or municipal court is gonna charge you between $3,500 and $5,000 for one case. So the only positive that I could think of is, obviously there has been talk of a state court at some point in Newton County. Based on our size, we probably should have one, at least criminal side of things. But eventually when that comes, whenever that is, because at some point we'll get big enough that we have to have one, all of this would come out of probate, and so it wouldn't just stay in my budget, it would just go towards the funding of the state courts, because that's obviously gonna be a cost to the county. And then the only other thing that's of note in my budget is a little bit of, in the small equipment, there is a little bit of money for getting a desk and computer and that sort of thing for the staff attorney I'm requesting, or law clerk, but also a little bit more technology for courtroom A. We have some, but it is hard for people to see videos when we're playing, say, body cam footage from DUIs or things like that. And so I met with the IT director, Mr. Bodon, and he feels like we can do it for fairly small expense of 2 large computer or television screens, basically, and a new laptop or desktop in that courtroom, so we'd be able to improve the presentation of evidence in that courtroom. So those are the budget requests that I have. Everything else I've tried to keep as close to where it normally is. And of course, some of those are one-time asks. Once we have a sound system, once we have the technology in courtroom A, there won't be the chairs, that won't be continued spending. So that's my presentation. If y'all have any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Thank you. Any questions, guys, commissioners? Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Judge.
Yes.
Appreciate you. So when I was looking at the probate court, and I know you said you needed a law clerk, staff attorney, and of course that person is going to work for both magistrate and probate.
Correct.
So I was looking, is that gonna be falling under the line item of professional contracted services?
My understanding is they, or at least I've been told before, that they don't put the positions in the budgets they give y'all. Is that right?
Is it,
If we approve it, it goes in the contingency, and then we transfer it over once it's approved
okay.
and hired.
Okay, because I was just trying to make sure where that fit, because I didn't see it, but I did see an increase of $21,750 for professional contracted services in probate, and then I saw professional contract increase of $12,298 in magistrate. So I was just trying to figure out if that's where we were trying to cover that particular role, or if that's for something else.
That's for the increased pay to the solicitors.
Okay. That was all I had. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And real quick, I forgot to mention this point. When I was looking at the indigent defense, I told you they kind of had two asks: either hire somebody else and give us a small increase, or give us a pretty drastic increase in pay. And it's by managing to keep both of them, who are very good attorneys and do a very good job in our court, and not trying to find another attorney, which has, as I said, been nearly impossible. That decision saves us $16,800 by just increasing their pay rather than finding a whole nother attorney to help take on the caseload. So obviously, out of the two, that was the more budget friendly, so that's what I went with.
Thank you so much. Anything else, commissioners? Thank you so much, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Y'all have a good day.
Thank
You
you.
too. Thank you, Judge Brown.
Brittany?
All right, our next budget presentation will be the sheriff. The sheriff does have 5 different department budgets within our budget manual, so you're gonna start on page 182, and that will start with the sheriff's budget. So you have a sheriff's budget, jail budget, east side precinct, west side precinct, and school resource officer. Y'all can come on up whenever you're ready.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you guys for being here this morning.
Okay, thank you for the invite. All of you know Ruben. Ruben is our financial guru. He's going to speak to you from the technical aspects of the numbers, and I will speak to you basically on the office of the sheriff, who we are, where we're going, and those things that we have accomplished. I'm a little bit hoarse this morning, so bear with me. It's not COVID. It's only sinus. So if you hear me do that a couple of times, it's because of that, okay? The fundamental objective of the law enforcement agencies is public safety and service. The Newton County Sheriff's Office is the principal provider of law enforcement services in Newton County. All of you know that we're the principal provider of New Bern, Mansfield. We support Covington, also Oxford, and many times we'll call upon for the full service of Porterdale. We're all a one big family. The goals of the Newton County Sheriff's Office is to be recognized as a professional organization that values, respect, and honor the rights, dignity of each person we call upon to serve through collaborative effort, and we are committed to improving the quality of life in our community. And all of you are aware that Newton County is the 22nd largest county in the state, and population-wise, and we're the 111th county in the state geographically. The Newton County Sheriff's Office we have established, and we have made many benchmarks over the past years, and we are yet proud of who we are. We still rank in the highest of Georgia as it relate to certifications, as it relate to progressive law enforcement. We also still hold that position in the nation. I've always said that we've been number 4 out of 159 in the state, and that yet we are out of 3,200 plus in the nation, we still rank in the low 40s. Out of that 3,200 in the nation, there's fewer than 100 organizations have achieved what we have achieved throughout our tenure. Just to highlight just a couple of things there, I want to mention to you since the last budget meeting that we have implemented, and those things that we are going to continue to do. All of you know that we have cut our recidivism rate. It's an effort that we worked on and we've continued to work on, and we have received accolades from all over the world about our recidivism rate. How did we do it? And again, we started out in 2008 at 78 to 80%, and now we at 50.9, I believe, just speaking from my head, as far as how we have changed the trajectory of our reentry programs here in the county. And with that said, saving dollars for our community. Each one that failed to return back to the jail, that is a savings. We have calculated more than 200 plus in the past couple of years who have benefit from the program and have not returned to jail. So if you turn around and you take it and calculate those numbers at $55 a day, that's just generally, and that is a low cost. All of you know you can't eat 3 meals, you can't sleep, you can't have utilities, all of these amenities. You can't do that for $55 a day, so it's a low cost. And not to mention if you happen to get sick along the way. But if you take those very numbers and you calculate those numbers, you can arrive at the savings that have been generated because we have cut down our recidivism rate. Domestic violence, we have created a domestic violence unit, which is very proactive. All of you know that domestic violence is an issue that we face here in our community as well as abroad. So we have created that division, and they are raising benchmarks and working with the prosecutor's office and our investigation as well as our patrol unit and those partners within our community. We also implemented a crime ambulance unit, and that crime ambulance unit is very vital, not only for here, but throughout the state. We are connecting our community with this particular software, and I'm not going to give all the details, but we are connecting the community, our business partners, and things that can help us along the way when crime occurs. So we have put that in place. Before I get too far, I just want to, again, applaud you all for the retirement package that was received back, worked on last year. And the reason why I say that is we have, since that time, we had somewhere between 4 or 5 or more to retire, and it's great for them. But all at the same time, we're standing here today, and our numbers in terms of the number of vacancies that we had 2 years ago, a year ago, are much lower because of the retirement. Now, what we're experiencing, and some of them we having to turn back because we look for top quality employees or staffing. We're having to turn some of them back. So as it relates to the retirement and the benefit packages and everything, recruits are flooding the door. This time last year, when we were standing here, we had more than 20 vacancies in our law enforcement side. Today, we somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 9 or 10, but all at the same time, we have another 4 or 5 in the hopper that's looking at coming aboard. So with that said, we're going to see a difference in our staffing in just a few months. And it's because of the benefit packages that, and the competitive salaries that are being put in place. Also, I'd just like to mention the fact that we are more than 1/2 of the county's, when you look at employee staffing, we're more than half of it, if I'm correct. Is that right, Brittany? Mr. Cooper? I think it's 700 plus in the county, is that right?
It is 700 plus.
Right, and we are 300 plus at the sheriff's office. So with that said, I think our numbers are basically about the same. I think in the county, total, I think you all are maybe somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 staffing members short, and I believe we're somewhere within that same area. So consistently, I think we are running neck and neck, and I think a lot of it is because we all, your departments, all of your departments, all of our departments, if we look at it, whatever your specialty, like law enforcement, we all are pulling from that same pool of, we're pulling for that same pool of individuals. Those that are desired law enforcement, Covington is pulling from that pool, Rockdale is pulling from that pool, as well as Conyers and other surrounding counties. You're faced with the same issues. Those who want to come here and work on this side of the table here, well, you're being competitive with the others too. They have many options, so I think when you look at the number of positions that's available, I think we are good. When you look at 300 plus and we within 20, I think that's great. Mr. Chairman, I want to just highlight something that you mentioned during your state of the county, your statement during the state of the county about fire service, and also you committed to first responders. I want to thank you for that, and we certainly hope that will reflect in our budget. We will continue to build on those things that we have accomplished over the years. Our success moving forward, yes, to carry out our fundamental duties in which we have been called upon to do, and that is to fight crime, build relationships, and also addresses the need of the community and our young adults, and to be and just to share this with you, we're on the forefront. And I've always said that we're on the cutting edge of everything. We will start on the ground floor. As a matter of fact, within the next month or so, we will be one of the first to be certified by the Georgia Sheriff's Association. It was something that we initiated, and the reason why it was initiated, we was part of the Georgia Chiefs, but the Georgia Chiefs certification, if you've noticed, it's no longer there, but the Georgia Chiefs do not have jails, so there was not a module in their certification to address the concerns and issues of jail. So the Georgia Sheriff's Association created a certification where it meets, or sheriffs would have to meet all those obligations. So hopefully within the next month, we will become one of the first to be certified through that particular certification. I still say that I am proud of who we are. We'll continue to be proud of who we are. I think we're a beacon, not only just here in Newton County, but we're a beacon across the state, across the nation, and as I've said many times before, we have those who come to us looking for guidance on how to operate the office of sheriff. And that's a fact. It's not a myth that I'm just throwing out. Today, you'll see some, I think you was invited to that RSAT program today, graduation. There would be some today there to see how we operate. So I'm proud of that, everything we've done, and regardless of what's said or whatever, I still believe that we are that shining star. We are that beacon light that everyone looks to, and that's the Office of Sheriff of Newton County, not Ezell Brown. I'm only visionary, and everybody else behind me, they carry the dream out. That's all it is. And I think each and every last one of them, I never look for credit for myself. I never look for kudos for myself. I only recognize those limbs that represent me. I'm only just the body, and they're the limbs, and they're the ones that make things happen. And I appreciate everything that they do in making it happen, because without them, we would not be where we are today. Without them, we would not have a safe community. Without them, thank you. Ruben will now, any numbers, okay. Ruben will take care of that, and again, if you have any technical questions about the Office of Sheriff, I'll again respond.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheriff, and thank you, Commissioners. If we could go to the next slide real quick. I just wanted to really just as a reminder highlight that, just as Sheriff said, and we worked really, really hard, but one of the things, and I wasn't going to present this, but not only am I
working here in Newton County, but I'm also a resident of Newton County. I live in District 3, off of Oakwood Manor subdivision. And one of the things that when we moved here from California, my wife and I said, we want to live in a place that's growing, that's great for kids, that's safe, that, we could feel like that we could grow and really start a new foundation and kind of leave our old life behind. And it's been such a blessing, and I do want to second what the sheriff said. I want to thank this commission for making it possible for our retirement funds and our pension to kind of come into fruition, because it's really helped us to really establish roots here in the community. So I want to thank you all. But one of the things I also want to, just reinforce is within the sheriff's office, it's such a blessing to have so many divisions and so many units within the sheriff's office that really listens to the needs of the community. This is just a partial list of some of the many divisions and some of the many units. We're always out there in the community, but one thing I appreciate about our leadership and the sheriff and others is that they're always open and receptive to new ideas and to new opportunities. I meet with people in the community all the time in my local church at New Life Praise Center, and they're talking about how they were once, in difficult times and incarcerated, and because of the programs provided while they were incarcerated, they were able to better themselves. So I see it happening in front of my eyes and within the community as well. All right. Next slide. Do want to talk about budget, though. So I did want to share some budget highlights. Some of the things that we've experienced not only this past year, but also in the previous fiscal years is the cost of goods and services have gone up. We see things left and right, and we're saying, whoa, what's going on? We do projections. We do our best to try to predict how expenses are going to happen because we have ongoing expenses, but we also have those expenses that we don't anticipate. Chillers going down and things going down in the jail that need to be repaired immediately. But when you start comparing and you start looking at the price of goods and services, you're thinking, whoa, and as we start looking at different options, we don't want to also just go to the most cheapest option out there because the quality is going to suffer because of it. Lots of times when we have done that in the past through conversations with leadership and through my own experience, we had to say, we just have to go back to the other vendor because the quality is just terrible, it's messing up. And so lots of times choosing the cheapest option sometimes is costs us double. We've also experienced a lot of supply shortages, we're very blessed to get SPLOS funding, and back in the old days, we used to be able to go to the lot and go pick up some cars and get them the same day. Nowadays, it's not that easy anymore. A lot of these car companies are moving away from certain cars, like for example, the Dodge Charger. This is 2023 was the last year of production for the Dodge Charger. They're moving to a different type of vehicle. And so we had to take advantage of those opportunities. And so sometimes we had to place the order, and then 8 months later, we start receiving those vehicles. But as you all know, that when we receive a vehicle, the vehicle in itself is not ready to go. It needs to be outfitted, it needs to have the materials, it needs to have the lights, it needs to have all the things that is needed before it could be out there in the public's eye. So I know many of you understand there's been a chip shortage, and they say, well, that's long gone, Ruben. It shouldn't apply to us anymore. Well, it's a trickle-down effect. As that chip shortage happened, it created a shortage in all of our goods and supplies that we purchase. We have vehicles that we purchased and picked up, and we handed over, and now they're still being put together, and so because of that shortage, we've struggled because of that, and sometimes we have to go for some of those immediate things that we need now. They tell us, well, we could have it in 8 months. I'm like, no, we need it now. And so lots of times we had to move to a different vendor that's a little more expensive. We also have experienced workforce shortages with some of our vendors as well. Say, hey, we don't have the manpower like we used to. A lot of people left to different agencies, organizations, making double what we could afford to pay them. So once again, moving to those other vendors as well. So a lot of those things have changed with inflation coming back, and sometimes it goes up and down. Some people say, well, it's looking better, but some of our goods have not changed in price. They went up, and they went up by $10, and then they go, okay, we're going to drop it down by $2. I'm like, well, you're still up by $8. And so those are kind of the realization that we're experiencing right now. Next slide, please. Well, some of the things that we've been incorporating, we're doing our very, very best. We're starting to implement a multi-step approach to reduce costs on our ongoing purchases. And so one of the things is looking at our new inmate food vendor that we had. We're experiencing increases in cost and things that we didn't anticipate. So we had to move very quickly. For those of you that know, we have over, approximately about 500 inmates who get 3 meals a day. So it's not something that, we can kind of turn over really quickly. And so we needed to make sure that we had someone that we could trust. Luckily, we were able to identify a new food vendor. And compared to if we would have continued this whole year, compared to the savings, we're approximately saving about $150,000 with the new food vendor. And after some hiccups, we were able to get the exact foods that we had with the previous food vendor. Something as small as moving to a different shredding company. As Ms. Brittany knows, we were about, on our wits' end with the current shredding company. We were able to move to a new shredding company. We're saving about $5,000 to $12,000 just moving to a different shredding company. We've also been able to utilize some of the funding that we received from ARPA. What we have in the works right now, it's out to bid. But really the goal behind that is looking at our existing infrastructure, for example, our water heaters, and purchasing new energy efficient, because the water heaters we have are about 20 years old or so, purchasing energy efficient water heaters that are lower cost in maintenance and lower cost in ongoing expenses that is going to affect our bottom line. So we appreciate once again this commission for making a way so we could have some of those additional funds as well. All right, next slide, please. So like I said, I just wanted to highlight those, approaches, and I could go on, but I just wanted to share with you that, we of course have more expenses because of the cost of goods and services have gone up. But at the same time, we are doing a diligent effort to make sure that we're reducing costs as much as possible. And I've worked with my staff, and in the upcoming months, I already spoke with major banks about it. We're going to be meeting with our unit leads to help them identify what are some additional things that we could do to continue to reduce those costs without affecting our quality of service, of course. Very quickly, I'm just going to go through the budget. I'm not going to go into detail. I'm going to leave it all up for you if you have any questions on it. Next slide, please. But as mentioned, we have 5 different budgets. These are the non-personnel budgets I wanted to highlight. Our purchasing and contract services for the sheriff's office, supplies and capital outlays, those are the respective amounts. The jail operations, as you can imagine, operating a jail that's 24/7, 365, everything needs to be thought of. We get those, our maintenance gets those 2 a.m. phone calls saying, hey, we need to fix this. And we need to make sure not only we address the need in immediate, but we need to make sure that we have the essential parts or services, whatever it needs to get repaired, because it's not something that we could wait 6 months to order a part and get it fixed, of course. So supplies, capital outlays, like I said, we're going to continue to be looking at cost-saving mechanisms, but there is specific needs that we have addressed there. Next slide, please. And pretty much the same with our student resource officer budget, east side and west side precincts. We've done our best to look at our services. One of the things that I do wanted to mention is that one thing that's different from last fiscal year to this fiscal year is that we did put in our request for last year for some capital expenses. Unfortunately, those were not considered, and so there's still a need. For example, at the West Side Precinct, there are some of the metal detectors as you go in. I like to call it the airport detectors. But those are things that if you ever take a time to take a tour, you'll notice that they're pretty outdated and they really need to be upgraded, and so those are some of the reasons why you'll see some of those additional costs related to capital outlays. But if you look and compare from our previous request from last year, they were also mentioned in last year's request as well. All right, so I just wanted to provide a very quick snapshot of the budget, entertain any questions, but let you also know that we're doing our best to try to cut costs as much as possible. You have any questions?
Thank you so much. Guys, any questions? Commissioner Edwards.
Chairman, so the school resource officers, I've heard that the school is doing something in their law. What's going on with that, Sheriff?
Okay, the school have hired I don't know the exact number, 4 or 5 officers, and their job primarily is to go from the elementary schools, more or less just afloat. They are not the principal law enforcement provider for the school. We yet are the principal provider.
Oh, so they didn't displace the sheriff's department in the school?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. And it was made clear when the idea came up about those officers coming to the school. It was made clear to the school, we did not want a situation such as Navalder, okay? It was made clear that we, as long as we are part of the system, that we would be the principal provider for the law enforcement services, meaning that they are there momentarily until we arrive. If they're at an elementary school, they're there just to secure the area until we arrive. Once we arrive, it's clear that we are that principal provider for law enforcement. So they are there, not short of what they're saying, but of what I'm saying. They're there basically just to calm the students down, just to have presence. But as far as enforcement, they're not, okay? But I just want to mention just a couple of things. I know Ruben mentioned about the vehicles. And that's the reason why it's so important that we have to stay ahead of the game in terms of replacement of vehicles. The Dodge Chargers are going out. Whatever they decide that they're going to put in place or rebuild for law enforcement services, you got that down time for the manufacturer, for those vehicles to be made. And then you may have another year before that vehicle is then back into production. Once that vehicle start in production, it could take up to 2 to 3 years before that car come back around for a law enforcement services car. That's just like you look at how the Crown Vics, how they faded out. We could not get a Ford car for years until now we're starting to get the Explorers. So the same thing is going to happen with the Chargers. And the last thing I just want to mention is that, and it's with the growth in the community, and I guess by now, you know I'm a number guy. I just believe in being able to, produce benchmarks, show what's going to happen, how we can change the perspective, how can, that's me. So what I'm asking moving forward with our strategic planning, I think, I know that the Office of Sheriff, somehow we all need to establish a liaison with the Board of Commissioners and also with the Planning and Zoning. The reason why I say that is when these housing, when the building is coming in, when you have 300, 400 homes coming in subdivision, you're doing that 5 times a year, your population does what? Increases, right? So if the population increases, then that means what? We got to have more law enforcement services, is that right? So if we had someone along the way working with the Sheriff's Office, the Office of Sheriff, knowing that we're going to have 1,000 homes, and I'm just using that as an example, then you all would recognize it's going to be 1,000 homes. How many officers do you need to man, or do you have the adequate resources for those 1,000 residents? Well, probably going to be 2,000 residents because your normal household is 2 to 3 to a household. Well, then it gives us the opportunity when those permits are issued, it gives us an opportunity, hopefully within a year's time, to hire, train, and then you have officers ready for boots on the ground. That's what I would hope in the future, that we could establish something, a liaison between there, here, and the Office of Sheriff, that we can combat and be ready for anything that goes on within our community. That's just a thought that I had standing there, but I think it's something that we should consider.
Any more questions, guys? I just had one quick question.
Yes, sir.
It's the clinician, nothing, the clinician is in this budget, included in the budget? It is, all right, thank you.
Yeah, the co-responder position is included under contract services.
All right. Thank you, thank you so much.
Question then. So when we walked away from last year, does that negate what we discussed on last meeting?
Want to make sure it's included in this year's budget.
Right.
Yeah. No, so nothing has changed. I just want to make sure it's included in the budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much. All right. Thank you. We're going to entertain a short recess, and we'll come back as soon as our next person get here. All right, thank you so much. Good, thank you. We're going to go back into session, guys. I'm going to turn it back over to Ms. Brittany. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We have our last presentation before our lunch break, and you have the Tax Commissioner, Marcus Jordan, here to present his budget, and that will begin on page 220 of your book.
Good afternoon, sir, and thank you for being here. We're ready when you are.
Well, good morning, Commissioner and Chair and County Manager. Thanks for having me. I don't think there's not a whole lot of changes in our actual budget. If you look, everything it really just Richard from the previous year. But happy to answer any question that you all may have as it relates to this year's budget.
Commissioners, any questions? Commissioner, any questions? Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't really have any questions, but I want to say thank you for your budget being $65,000 less than it was last year.
Oh, yeah, we won.
So I appreciate that. So I guess with that, you kind of saw maybe some things you didn't need, or we had over budgeted in the past.
Definitely coming in, changing some software systems and a lot of things like that. So now we're seeing things kind of working out and benefiting. And also, we had a lot of senior employees to retire. So you see that, some salary savings as well.
Okay. Well, that's all I had. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for being here.
But thank you all for your time, and I enjoy you all, and you all keep doing the work that you're doing. Keep up the great work. Take care.
Guys, we're going to go to lunch until about 1 o'clock. We'll return at 1 o'clock. Thank you. Guys, welcome back. That was a great lunch break. We're going to turn it now back over to Brittany. All right.
Thank you. So up next on our agenda today is going to be District Attorney Randy McGinley, and his information can be found starting on page 223 of your notebook.
Thank you for having me today.
Thank you for being here today, sir.
Of course, I will. Feel free to jump in, interrupt any questions. I'll be glad to answer anything. You guys probably have an idea what I'm mostly going to be speaking about.
when Mr. Carter and I came before you guys. And I know Mr. Carter's here, and I'm planning to stick around for his presentation, because this is something that we're jointly requesting as far as salaries for the ADAs and the assistant public defenders. One of the things I provided you guys is, and I'm not asking anybody to read that entire thing because it's the prosecutor vacancy crisis was a article written by a professor at the William & Mary Law School talking about how it's not just something here in Newton County or Walton County or Georgia, it's everywhere. And it extends to public defenders as well. They're running into the same issues that prosecutors' offices are running into. There's a variety of factors we could talk about for days, but the reality is just that it's a problem. And pay is obviously a big one, and low pay with high caseloads is obviously a big deal. And I always tell everybody is, what we do obviously is a little bit different, but we work with the public defender's office all the time. And so I can't stress that enough that this is something jointly we are requesting, because I think the pay scale should be the same for all the attorneys in both our offices. But if you have you or someone close to you, a loved one, is, heaven forbid, a victim of a terrible crime, whether that be a child molestation, a murder, a shooting, you want to have someone who's competent to do that job, to prosecute that case, to sit there and spend time with your loved one. And that's things that our attorneys in our office have to do all the time. And we have meetings with kids as young as 4 or 5 years old, meeting with them, talking about something terrible that someone they love did to them. And on the flip side, if your loved one's charged with a crime, you want to have someone who's competent to represent that person. Yeah. A lot of those things in our job don't come down to numbers and fiscal things, but it is a reality of when our offices aren't fully staffed, that costs the taxpayers more money. It just does. The jail cases take longer to move through the system. That clogs the courts. That slows everything down. That makes people stay in the jail longer. And that's a problem. And one of the just quotes I'd say from this lengthy article is that elected prosecutors must have the courage to speak truth to power, not just to gripe about understaffing behind closed doors. When a DA's office begins to lose prosecutors because of low salaries and high caseloads, the elected prosecutor must speak up quickly and loudly to the appropriating body, even if it jeopardizes the prosecutor's political standing. And obviously, as the next slide shows, that this is something, I can say it over and over again, we're jointly requesting this, and it's because it's a problem. I think when we came to you guys here in December, I think many of the commissioners were a little shocked at what the starting pay for someone to go through law school was. And I'll say it again, is you have to go finish high school, do well enough to get into an undergrad program, finish a 4-year undergrad program, do well enough in that and take the LSAT to get into law school, go to law school for 3 years, pass, and then pay for and study and take the bar exam, and only 75% of people that take the bar exam pass. So 25% of people that went through all that don't get to practice being an attorney. That's a big deal. And so it's a lot, and those people shouldn't have to live having a roommate or live with their parents just to get by. And that's kind of where it's at with the starting pay that we have currently. I will tell you is Walton County, I already had our meeting there. I've been told by the county manager that my request or our request there has been approved to be in what the county manager is going to submit to the Board of Commissioners. Obviously that's not been passed, but that's where it's at. I put on here too that the State House approved, and you guys know our budget is a strange thing because we have state paid people, county paid people. Our state paid people are getting county supplements. It gets a little complicated. But the State House had approved, the State House and the governor's budget had approved a 15% increase to the DA's state budget just for ADA salaries. What I'm asking for is not going to be 15% increase to my total budget because that'd be a really large number. Now, I will be honest with you, I don't know what's going to happen with that. The Senate didn't have that same amount, and today's the last day. I don't know what the state's going to do with the budget. I would hope it wouldn't be just the cost of living increase, because again, we're asking for a very large increase on the state side as well. And one of the things I think I said back in December is I've brought this to the board's attention every time I try to come before you. If you look at slide number 7, which is on page 4, it's kind of hard to see. You may have to hold it up a little bit closer. But I broke down what budgets and populations are in other counties around us, near us, like counties, and just showing how much it costs for prosecution per citizen. And obviously there's some differences there. Like we're, Albany, Doherty County, they have less people than us. I'll go into time. I grew up in Albany. They had 85,000 people, but they got about 25 murders a year. So Albany's, it's a mess at times. I'll tell you here, we opened 13 murder cases in 2023. I don't recall the last time we opened anywhere near that. I would say 08 or 09, 2010,
is probably when we had a lot. That was probably a lot after Katrina. There were a lot of people coming up to Newton County from Miami and New Orleans, and for some reason, a lot of those individuals did not get along. I'll just put it that way, because that was a lot of what our violent crime was back then. But it kind of went back down and has gone back up pretty strongly. Now, in fairness, one of those happened 7 years ago in Porterdale, so it didn't happen recently, but still just another case that we still have to deal with, though. And I've been losing people. I know Mr. Carter can talk about his side of things, losing people to other counties. And a lot of this all started after COVID. Is Fulton County came in and the new DA asked for 20 new ADA positions mid-budget year. And they have 4 grades, and they got 10 ADA 3s and 10 ADA 4s. I'll tell you, the ADA 4s make more money than I do. As the elected DA in a circuit with 225,000 people, some of the assistants in Fulton make more than I do. And so that's 20 new high-paid positions that just were created out of nowhere, and that really has hurt the entire state. And that happened on the public defender side, too, and that's just really hurt the state. I've lost people to Rockdale for $20,000 more than what they were getting paid here, to Rockdale. And I know we've talked about pay studies and things like that before. My concern with that is none of these counties are going by their actual pay scale. They're just not. When you've got 5 vacancies, you got to hire somebody, you pay them what you got to pay them to get them in the door. And so your pay scale isn't really going to show the reality of what they're actually paying people. I know the solicitor's office, which is, they prosecute just misdemeanors. We don't have that here, but a lot of other jurisdictions do. In Fulton and DeKalb, someone's getting paid $100,000 fresh out of law school to prosecute just misdemeanors. I mean, I think there's obviously some quality of life here in Newton and Walton County. And those are the people that are here, have been here 6, 7 years, have families. But you're fresh out of law school at 26, 27 years old, $30,000, $40,000 more, you don't care about the quality of life. You look at $40,000 more, you're not even going to consider here. And we've gone, 6 months at a time without any resumes. We have 20 open murder cases currently. 12 of them were just open. I may have said 13 earlier. I think it's 12 were open just in 2023. Now, that's a good thing, is that we're getting through a lot of the older murder cases. We have 1 or 2 that are older that it's not anybody's fault, really. It's that big gang trial going on in Atlanta. The attorneys represent people on that, and they just can't come try cases here. So 111 open serious violent felonies and felony sex cases. As you can see on the next slide, our caseload keeps growing here in Newton County. 2021 was about 2,900 cases. 2023 was 3,400 cases. If you break that down, if we were fully staffed, every ADA would open 262 cases a year. And I break that down because there's about 245 working days a year. If you're trying a murder case, we had a murder case that we tried here in Newton County about a month and a half ago. Jury selection started on Monday, closing arguments, and the verdict were the following Monday. You just spent that entire amount of time not being able to look at a single other case. And you have more cases than you have days that you can work. So I say all that is, I proposed a whole new pay scale for ADAs and assistant public defenders. My understanding is, it may have been mentioned earlier, the judges may have asked, my understanding is that they may have asked to be on the same pay scale for their staff attorneys or clerks. And I've provided some of that to you guys. What I provided, in addition, I think, to the slideshow in that article, is my proposed pay scale starting at $80,000. And then I also provided 2 other documents, because I'll tell you what Walton actually did was they asked, is there a way to do it within our current pay scale? Instead of the one I created, is there a way just for logistical purposes with payroll and HR and finance, it's easier if the pay scale already exists? And I provided a copy of their pay scale that's current, and they had positions that started at 78, 998, 87, and 96,000. And so I sent back a proposal that I think is what is going to be in the budget there that works with that pay scale. Our current pay scale doesn't have that. I think I provided our current pay scale to you guys. There's 30 grades. The top grade starts at $83,000 a year and tops out at $125. And there's different things about different pay scales. Having only 10 steps means that every step increase is a 5.5% increase, which is a big ask anytime you're asked for a step increase. The more steps you have, it's a much easier budget hit for the county. If it's only a 3% raise for a step increase, it's a much easier number to swallow than 5.5%. And also, it's harder for people to top out. I know I have 2 or 3 people that are topped out on the pay scale, and they've gotten the COLA increase the last few years, but not the step increase. And so that's what we're asking for, is the whole new pay scale. And I can, logistically how that would work, I'm all for and I've, you know, Brittany knows I'll send her all sorts of numbers and spreadsheets and everything possible and try to make things easier for everybody else. But the way this is structured is there's 4 grades. The grade 1 starts at 80, grade 2 starts at 90, grade 3 starts at 95, grade 4 starts at 100. And the idea is it's structured as in like how our offices would be generally set up. Is grade 4 would only have 1 person in each county. It's the chief ADA. And grade 3, I think, would have 2 people. Grade 2 would have either 2 or 3 people, and grade 4 would be the rest of the assistants, which is generally how, you know, it's a pyramid structure like most organizations are. And so it gives us the flexibility to have that and call people what they actually are and the duties they're doing. You know, I mean, historically, we've promoted someone to a senior ADA. It's like, well, that's great and all. You gave me a better title. The pay's the same, and I have more duties. That's a tough thing to swallow when you keep piling things on people, and when you're shorthanded, all you're doing is piling more things on people. I'll tell you, my chief ADA, Amber, she's been in the office every Saturday and probably 2 Sundays in the last month. If you see her, you tell she's probably not super happy. She's about 8 months pregnant, and she's, you know, she's trying cases. Her and another ADA tried that murder case about a month ago. We have trials coming up again April 8th and April 15th. So we kind of have nonstop trials still too, but we have to find a way to get people in our office, resumes, and with our current pay structure, it's not happening. And that's, you know, what a lot of that article that I provided to you guys talks about is pay matters, caseload matters. Obviously those things sort of come and get, the better paid, you're more likely to have more people and the caseload goes down. When you have vacancies, it ends up almost being a snowball effect. Of each vacancy you have, that's just piling more things on other people. I've honestly probably been to Walton County myself for a full day about twice in the last 2 months, because I've been here constantly, which is fine, but it's just, you know, I am the DA in both counties. I need to be focusing on both counties. And I can't right now because we just don't have enough people here. And so I am here all the time, working hard to make sure we're doing what needs to be done on these cases. Before I kind of, if y'all have questions, I don't mind shifting gears, but I'll kind of add to a couple other things I want to talk about. I know one thing that my office manager, Ms. McDonald's here today too. One of the things we forgot to include in our budget that we sent Ms. White was the evidence.com Axon, that file storage thing that the Board of Commissioners voted on for the multi-year contract. We forgot to put it in there. That's my fault. I think it's not going to be in your booklet, but it'll be in the budget because you guys have already approved that. And so that's just something that we're implementing that now. We had another big, long 3-hour training on that yesterday from Axon and evidence.com. I've talked to, I don't know if I had much, I know Brittany and I have briefly talked about, I've talked about some. Milton is the finance chair up in Walton, and I brought it to their attention because one of the questions was, what if you have one pay scale for the ADAs? How does that work when you have 2 counties? You know, one county gives a 4% cost of living, the other county gives a 5% cost of living. How do you make that work? And so I thought of the idea, because a lot of judicial circuits do this, where they have one fiscal agent for the county, or for the circuit, where County A pays everybody. County B, A and B figure out what percentage they are, and B refunds A or reimburses A every, I don't know, pay period or every month. I'm not sure how it works. Now, I would just be asking at some point, and Milton and Walton said they probably couldn't do that quickly enough to be for July 1, but it's something that we can look and work together in the future. So I just say that as some future thing. I won't talk about it too much because it's not something we really need to focus on now. I know there's other things. I think I also include in the budget, you know, one of the positions, our investigative assistant position has been ARPA funded for a number of about 2 years, or shoot, I guess about 3 years, 2024, isn't it? And I think a lot of those ARPA funds are coming to an end. And so I think we're going to need to have that position added to the budget that won't get reimbursed from ARPA. That position is a very crucial position for all our investigators. When I've been down, currently, you know, I lost a number of ADAs to Rockdale and DeKalb and other circuits, and private practice too. And look, I'm not going to be able to compete with private practice, and I'm not asking to pay what Fulton's paying. You know, starting at $80,000 is still 20% lower than what Fulton's paying. And what I'll tell you is, it just historically where those numbers fit is when I started here in 2011, starting pay was $50,000. It's now, I think, 61 or so, and some change on the pay scale or something like that. It's $50,000. Fulton was paying $56 fresh out of law school. So $50,000, 56. That's, I guess, 12%, right? I mean, now it's 61 and $100,000. And so, look, again, I'm not trying to say we need to be Fulton to DeKalb. We don't need to be Fulton to DeKalb. We don't. But when we're here, that's one thing. When we're here, that's a whole other thing. And that's where we are. I think Mr. Carter probably has better examples with Fulton to DeKalb, I think, for some of the folks, because they've started paying people crazy amounts of money too. And so that's just the biggest thing we're asking for, is the ability to pay the ADAs what they deserve to be paid. And what I propose, and I've sent the actual full spreadsheets of where, you approve this pay scale, where each person will be placed on that pay scale. Obviously, they wouldn't go lower, because I have people that are paid more than $80,000, obviously. But obviously, they would be whatever the next step in whatever position they would be in. So there would be an increase, obviously. And I think the numbers I'd sent, Brittany, I forget what the total is. It's not a small amount of money, because some vacant positions, if the vacant position is starting at 61, and we're asking that to start at 80, that's a pretty big increase just for that position. And so, those numbers, it's, like I said, I want to say it was around $160,000 of salary. That does not include some of the employer costs. Now, the employer costs, already include insurance and things like that, so it would be some of the FICA and other things, but it's still an increase to that amount. But that's really what we need. We just need, crime's not slowing down. The administrative office of the courts did a study recently or last year saying that the Alcovy circuit is projected to be the 5th fastest growing circuit in the state. Somehow Henry County and Forsyth County are still, I don't know where they're putting people in those two counties, but they're still projected to grow like 15%. I think we were projected to grow about 9%. And so it's not going to slow down. Y'all know, there's good things with growth. There's also some bad things with growth. And the violent crime is not slowed down. I'm sure you guys see the news and hear about it. The sad part about it is the violent crime growth ends up being just younger and younger people, and it's sad. It's hard to deal with. You got a mom who's coming to you crying about their son who's going to prison, and you don't like doing it, but your son has shot and killed somebody. There's only so much we can do at that point. And obviously our office is heavily involved in a lot of those drug court, mental health court, things like that, trying to do things that can help with that. And I wish it would go down, but it's not going to. But I think we also, one other thing that we asked for, sort of bigger item was, that's right, when we lost some ADAs, I had to transition I moved a victim advocate position into a new position called a trial assistant. That basically their job was to take a lot of work off the ADAs getting ready for trial. Historically, when you're getting ready for trial, you may have a trial that has 200 exhibits that you have to present. You're the person in the ADA, you're numbering the exhibits, doing, all that work, and trying to take those things off the ADAs to allow someone else to do that. But that also means I lost a victim advocate. And if you saw somewhere in here, I have the numbers. If you take away the drug cases and the probation cases, which are usually the cases that don't have probation violation, drug cases, they don't typically have victims. If someone possesses cocaine, my victim advocates don't do anything with the case because there's no reason to. But with the numbers we have of cases, it still comes out, even if you take those cases away, to about 500 cases a year per victim advocate. And look, some victims want to know a lot more about what's going on in the case. Some victims don't care. I don't know how else to put it. Some victims who get shot that don't want to hear from our office, you steal someone's lawnmower, they're probably going to call us 100 times, wondering when they're going to get their restitution for their lawnmower. But they're legally, those are the victim services things that my office does. There's a crime victim bill of rights that I have a statutory duty to make sure we follow, and there's also Marcy's law from a couple years ago that you may remember. There's a constitutional duty that my office must do. So, we have to handle these cases appropriately, and having the resources to do so would go a long way to that. And I'm willing to work with everybody and anybody on how to best do that. I've spent a lot of time on this proposal, and I think it's a good one. It'd be able to place us in the pay scale I've created. If there's some other way to go about doing it, I'm all ears and willing to help.
Thank you.
8 minutes earlier, so. Unless y'all have questions, I'm more than happy to answer any questions or let Mr. Carter start early.
Thank you, sir, for being here, and all for what you do. Commissioner Mason has something. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Randy, for your presentation. A couple quick questions. One, I saw that you would like to potentially, I don't know, in the near or the far future, go to a one-county payee. And so is there a methodology that you have put in place to decide who's gonna pay those ADAs up front and then who's gonna reimburse? Or did you just pick and choose?
The reason, so from talking to Walton with their current pay scale, that they have pay grades that are similar to what I had already proposed. And also I also have less people in Newton currently that are ADAs, and I would only want to do this for ADAs because I have office manager, well, she's a state employee, but legal assistants, investigators who've been here 20, 25 years, and switching them to a different county in their retirement, I can't ask them to do that. I'm sure there's some way to make that happen, but because I'm so shorthanded in Newton, that's why it would make more sense to shift those few county, because I have my state pay people in Newton too, but my county ADAs, I don't have that many of them right now, and they don't have that much years of experience in the retirement. It would be easy to transition them to Walton, and so that's why I suggested it, was just the practicality of where we are right now. As far as who would determine sort of yearly, if there would be yearly cost of living or step increases, what other circuits do is they have a committee that's formed that, between both counties, that decides on that. I'm assuming it would probably be the chairman of each county and some other, maybe a couple commissioners in each county that make a decision on that, and then that budget is then presented as part of the budget to each of the county commissioners, or commissions. I think that was the last part of your question, I thought.
Let me ask you this, because Commissioner Mason asked that question. So what's the difference in the pay scale from Walton and Newton?
So one of the biggest things is just that there's not more grades. I guess there's more steps. Newton has 10 steps, Walton has 18 steps per pay grade. Walton starts much lower. I think Newton ended up a couple years ago ended up having a baseline, right? I don't think Walton ever did that. And I don't know if anybody's actually in Walton getting paid on grade 1 and 2, to be honest. I doubt that's happening.
Okay.
But their pay scale made more sense because here, like I said, we have the top is the beginning salary for step 1 or for grade 29 here is 78 and some change. For grade 30, it's 83 and some change. Walton has basically what we've worked out that they're going to have in their budget is instead of having 4 grades, I'd have 3 grades of attorneys in the office. Grade 23 starts at 78, 998. Grade 24 starts at 82 and some change, and grade 25 starts at 96. And also, I kind of look at it from a morale point of view. Sometimes when you have more steps, it's easier to get step increases because it's not a 5% increase, it's only 3% increase. And just with employees, having more step increases, even if it's a smaller number, sometimes is a good thing. With employees, it just is. And so their structure fit my proposed pay scale a lot closer, and so that's why. And I know, because I've been saying, I know there's, within our pay scale, there's the general employees pay scale. I think the sheriff's office has a different pay scale, and then there's a third one. They're different colors. I don't know. I've looked at the spreadsheets before. I don't know exactly what all they are for. Maybe it's fire, maybe. But so it's not unprecedented here to have a separate pay scale for a department. Now, obviously, this would be a separate pay scale just for certain people within the department. And I think, as I told you guys in December, I get it's a rare request to be saying treat just one group of people different than other people. I get that. I get there's probably going to be heat from people in my own office. So what about us? I understand that, but when I have vacancies, and I think other departments that have vacancies, they don't go 6 months without getting a resume. We just filled a couple positions of office staff. We got 7, 8 resumes, pretty quickly. Those positions are filling fine. You have to have that hard conversation sometimes with employees of like, look, I wish we could get you paid more money, but when we have a vacancy, we have 10 resumes. And that's very different than ADAs and Assistant Public Defenders right now, where we're going months and months and months without anything.
I get it.
Another question I had, I'm seeing here, just looking through the proposed budget that you submitted to us, and I'm seeing a $110,000 increase from 2024 to 2025. And then I'm hearing you talk about more positions, but I don't see that reflective in this proposed budget. So do you mind just highlighting in the proposed budget where that 110,000 is coming from?
I can help with that.
You can.
So there's a line item in the budget called reimbursement for salary, which is a reimbursement from a VOCA grant. And that has not been put in yet
Okay.
because we haven't got those numbers yet. And I'm assuming it's probably gonna be significantly, if none, this year.
Yeah, yeah. And then some of those the timing is different because that's on the federal fiscal system. Yeah, so historically we've gotten, different amounts. And that's one thing we're gonna talk about too, is I know our 5% fund is back up.
Yes,
For a while, that was almost nothing during COVID.
yeah.
And so there may be, I was planning on reaching out to Brittany to also talk about our 5% fund, which is some victim fund fees, or fees on defendants when they plead guilty. That there may be some, historically it had probably been around $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 a month, and then during COVID it went down to almost like nothing. And that's gone back up. I think we're back up in $100,000 now, is that could go towards some of these, offsetting some of these costs. So I think the county used to take some of that money, but then during COVID, the county had to kind of eat a lot of that because that just disappeared. We don't have courts. Cases don't get moved. There's no fines being ordered, things like that. So
The federal fiscal year starts in October.
Yeah.
Okay. So because when I look at that reimbursement of salary line item for 2025, it's saying 0. So if you don't mind, in layman's terms, help me understand why that's 0 and why I'm seeing a $110,000 increase from 2024 to 2025. Where is that offset? How does that work?
So if you'll notice, the reimbursement line is a negative.
Correct.
So it's almost it serves almost similar to revenue per se, but it's in an expense line. So being 0 actually makes the budget go up because it's normally a negative number. Does that make sense?
That's why you're in that position.
Less negative, is that what the?
Yeah, there you go.
Less negative.
I'm gonna
is
start
good?
using that. Less negative.
Right. Because you explained that in a matter of seconds, and I got it.
Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Because I was like, wait a minute, it's still not making sense to me because I'm looking at 2025, but I do see the negative in 2024, so that makes sense to me what you said. Thank you. That answered my question, Brittany.
Thank you, sir, and again, thank you for what you do, and we'll definitely take it up under consideration.
One
Yes,
thing
sir.
I'd add, one thing is also, because of the vacancies, probably nowhere near hitting what our budget is this year. So I'll just add that to something is, just the reality of things. I think we're at 53%. Was that the number you told me today? 58% of our budget, and it's April.
Wow.
And that math is obviously would be about what, 75% generally? Yeah. Okay. Thank y'all.
See you soon then. We'll see you. Yeah, see you soon. Yep. We ready? Uh-huh. Yeah. You know what I mean. Yeah. Thank you for being here today, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Brittany?
So the public defender's information can be found on page 229 in your book.
We're ready for you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. In case you don't know me, my name is Anthony Carter. I'm the Chief Public Defender. I say that kind of jokingly, but I think this is my 20th budget presentation in Newton County in a row. So, I've seen a lot of commissioners, I've seen a lot of chairmen, I've seen a lot of people coming through, but I really do, honestly, I enjoy being here with you guys. I feel like I'm among friends. I feel like, that you guys understand me, you understand our office, and I really do appreciate that. In those 20 years that I've been asking for budgets, I've tried to be very, very conservative. You will notice many, many years I'm not asking for anything extra. Out of those 20, you could probably see 15 that I haven't asked for anything extra. This year is significantly different, and it is because we do have a problem. The issue with the prosecutors is also an issue with public defenders. I am literally drowning, personally. I was over in Walton County this morning. I had a full calendar with Judge Nguyen, and I left 3 cases there with somebody to deal with. So a client is going to be going up in front of a judge with a person he's never met before because I wasn't able to be there. That's happening a lot. One of the most important things that you can give to a client is your time. And we do not have that because we do not have the staff available to do that. I very much support this proposal. It is a joint proposal by the DA and the Public Defender's Office. It is a lot. It is, we are asking you to jump our base salary from $61,000 to almost $80,000. We are not asking again for Fulton or DeKalb numbers, but at least we're asking for Rockdale, Butts County numbers. And when I say Butts County, it's a sore subject for me right now. Last year about this time, I hired an attorney, and I was in the middle of a trial, and Carmen, my office manager, said, hey, she wants to come, and she wants to come here, but she's got an offer for $70,000 at another place. And this is a Walton County, and there they only, the starting salary was $64,000. So I said, offer it to her, get it to her, and we'll figure it out later. I got in trouble, of course, with finance for offering a salary that wasn't allowed, but we worked it out. But unfortunately, what we had to do was we had to, I had to get rid of a position. I had to liquidate a position in order to find money for that, to hire her. She stayed with us for about 6 months, and I trained her myself. I took her under my wing. She could not find a house to buy here in Newton or in Walton. That's where she was looking. She was not able to find a place. She finally ended up buying a place in Butts County. I sent her to a training to help her be a better attorney. At that training, she met the Circuit Public Defender from Butts County, and long story short, I no longer have that attorney. So I went through all of this effort, all this time, and I am without an attorney. That's happening over and over again. And I just want to be competitive. I just want to be able to tell somebody, come to Newton County, come to Walton County. You can start a family here. You can do everything you want to do here, and you don't have to worry about money. And it's so frustrating. Just last year, someone, Fulton County offered my third in line, not my chief assistant, but a senior assistant, offered my senior assistant $146,000 to go work in Fulton County, which, if you can figure out, that's more money than I make. So that's frustrating. I was able to get him to stay, but I had to tell him that I will find some more money for you. Obviously not $146,000, but I'm working with all the county managers in order to try to find some money for him. But that's what I've been doing for years now, is just robbing from Peter to pay Paul, liquidating salaries. And that's one of the requests that I have in this budget, is that I had to liquidate a fairly large salary in order to give some people money to either come here or stay here. So I lost that position. I'm asking that I be able to keep that money that I liquidated, but also I'm asking for that position to be funded again so that I can hire another attorney. At this moment, I have 2 people who would be interested in that position. And I've spoken to Mr. Cooper about trying to get some type of authorization to let them know we believe this position will be open as of July. And I'd like to work on that, but I can actually fill that position if I can get it back. So that's actually encouraging. That's kind of a change. We are also asking, as Mr. McGinley is, for some support staff. We're asking for a paralegal and 2, again, trial specialists or trial assistants who can take some of the work off of the attorneys. A lot of the stuff we do not have the clerical, the support staff to be able to do for the attorneys, things that they need done. Just basic things, copying, typing up motions, things of that nature. Those are support issues that we really need. And so I am asking for, I've never in all my history here asked for 3 positions in one budget, but I'm asking for 2 trial assistants, a paralegal, and I'm asking for that position to be reinstated. And am I different from anyone else? Am I more special than anyone else? No, we're not, but the judiciary, the DA's office, the judges, all of us have felt this pinch. And to be honest, the judges have taken assistant public defenders and assistant DAs as law clerks because they are feeling the pinch. They can't find people to work for them either. But crime is not stopping. Today, when I came into the office, there were 12 new applications in Walton County. We have court 2 to 4 times a week, and we have 50 to 60 people on each calendar. Of those, we may be able to dispose of 20, 25, 30 of those cases and close those out. But again, this morning I received 12 new ones. Tomorrow I'll receive 12 new ones. Friday I might receive 20 new ones. Monday I'll probably get 25 new ones. And we just do not have the people to give them that gift, which is time and attention to their case. And if you or your family were unfortunately charged in a crime, what you deserve is an attorney who has time for you and who will listen to you. That's always been the standard for my office, and I have been falling behind, and I will say admittedly, I've been falling behind the last 18 months to 2 years in my duty to communicate properly with clients. That's going to lead to lawsuits. It's also going to lead to jail overcrowding. We pay, just as a, I mean, it's more than this, but just say we pay $50 a day for an inmate to be incarcerated. Every day that I can get that person out, I save the county money. And when I say out, I'm not talking about getting people not guilty. I'm saying move them onto the state system, move them to the PDC, put them on probation. Every day, that's $50. That's $1,500 every 2 weeks for every inmate that we can reach. Every person that we have to continue off a calendar because we haven't spent enough time with them, that's another $1,500 every time we do it. That adds up quickly. And the jail doesn't want to have these people, and we can do something about it if we have the time and we have the ability to handle these things. So these are important positions within the county. They're not more special than anyone else, but we are feeling the crunch worse than anybody else, and we are drowning. So we are asking for these accommodations, and we appreciate your consideration. So.
Any questions, Commissioner? Go ahead, Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Anthony.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate the work that you do. It's very, very important with the work that your department does. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. You're very close on your figures. The sheriff actually just said it's $55 per day earlier. So right. You're very, very close. You're almost right on the spot. With
I
that.
just like when you do 50 because it's even.
Right,
because I can say 1,500.
Right, so he just told us today that it's 55 per day. So you're almost spot on with your calculations with that. And so I think it is imperative that we do our best to take preventative measures as much as we possibly can to try to assist our community when they get into these types of situations. And so it looks like just from your budget is primarily, and Brittany, you can maybe tell me, because I was just trying to figure out where the $85,000 increase is. It seems like it's heavily weighted on more of the personnel piece. Is that accurate? Okay, because when I'm looking here at the figures, that's where I'm seeing the increase between 24 to 25 is more centered around the personnel. So the paralegal and the 2 trial specialists or assistants, that increase in your budget will kind of help, not additional attorneys, but just the paralegal and the 2 trial specialists will help you with the volume that you're incurring every day.
And that would give the attorneys, instead of filling out a form or typing up a motion, it gives them the opportunity to be at the jail or in the office speaking with clients. And again, it drives me crazy to go into court and say, hey, I'm Anthony Carter. I know you've never met me before, but we're up for a motions and status conference today. I'd like for you to consider taking 2 years in prison, based on the fact that I've looked at your case for 2 minutes. I can't stand that. And that's what you hear about other counties, larger counties or bigger cities. You know, you think in New York, you think, oh, I'm just gonna go in and my public defender's gonna say, hey, why don't you take a murder rap or whatever, you know? That's never been the way we wanted to do things, but I need more attorney time for clients. And that's what this would do. That's what these positions will do, is take some of the work that we.
Yeah, some of the administrative work.
Administrative stuff away so that we can focus on clients.
Makes sense. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir, and thank you so much. I will let you know that Chairman Thompson has called and expressed the same needs that you guys are expressing. So I don't know if he told you he would, but just to let you know, he did, and he actually brought it up. Was it yesterday? We was in the meeting yesterday.
Correct, it was yesterday.
Yeah. So yeah.
My understanding from speaking with people in Walton is that there is no serious opposition to what we are proposing in Walton County. Well, there's no opposition that I'm aware of at all. The commissioners that we spoke to during our budget meeting were very supportive, and we've had no pushback from anyone. And I do believe that it's going to be included on the county manager's proposal for the full vote. So.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, again, thank you so much, and thank you for being here today.
Absolutely. Thank you. Nice
Thank
to
you.
see everybody.
You too. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, sir.
21 next year.
Yes, sir. All right. Recess. Guys, we're going to move into a short recess. Guys, it's actually 2:15. We're going to move back into our work session. Ms. Brittany?
Thank you. So we're going to move on to our appropriations section of our workshop today. So we're going to switch books. So you'll be in your blue book now. Our first presentation today is going to be from Alcovy Casa. So I'll just kind of mention this book is going to be a little different than the book that you were looking at. You're not going to see the line item budget, obviously, because these are appropriations. So on page 1 of your book is a synopsis of all the requests from the appropriations that we'll be presenting today. The top appropriations are appropriations that we've been appropriating for years. The bottom 3 are appropriations that submitted applications when we opened up the application process in January timeframe. And they submitted applications via the website. So we'll start with Alcovy Casa, and they can be found on page 2 of your notebook. Is that what you sent me already? Okay. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and how you doing today? You doing all right?
Doing well, thank you. I have more papers to pass out.
Yes, ma'am.
You want me to pass them out?
That'd be great, thank you.
Just wanted to make sure you know we're live and we have an audience. Yeah, thank you.
So you guys are very familiar with Alcovy Casa and what we do in our work with children that are experiencing foster care. We run on the federal fiscal year, so as far as projecting forward, all I can show you is where we are at about our 6th month in our year and how we are spending the money. In the past, we have used a good bit of funding for a lot of the extras that we were able to put back into Newton County as far as recruitment of community members to be CASA volunteers. With the lack of funding in the federal government and the BOCA, the Victims of Crime Act fund, a lot of the Newton County funding has gone towards a portion of our staff's salaries. And so it is still paying for a good bit of the extras. It's still supporting local businesses, and that is what we're projecting to do again next year as well. I don't see a change in the line item budget.
Okay. First of all, thank you for what you do, and thank you for being here today. Commissioner Mason, you have any questions?
I do not, because you asked this time.
Thank you, sir. And thank you again for everything that you do, and thank you for making a difference in these kids' lives. And so, thank you.
Thank you for helping us do what we do. We appreciate you. What also was passed out is we're doing CASA in the community. CASA was chosen by leadership Newton County this year to be their beneficiary. And it should be a really great event. Putting forward of that into our community so folks can see the need, because we need our citizens to help our kids. We would greatly appreciate it. And we also hope to see you there. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
I was just going to say I didn't speak in the mic earlier, so I wanted to make sure that it was known that I didn't have any questions, only because, or any comments. You're asking for the same thing. Your budget is still $15,666, which has been that since, from what I can see here, since 2023. So I didn't have any questions or comments because that request hadn't changed. So I just want to make sure that I said that in the mic, so we're aware.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And again, thank you so much for being here, and we look forward to continue this partnership that we have. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You wanna take that? You're welcome.
Miss Brittany.
Okay, next we will have Viewpoint Health making their presentation for their FY25 request. They did request $254,282, which was an increase of $19,962. And they can be found on page 20 of your notebooks.
Good evening, sir.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
How you doing today?
Very good, and yourself?
Doing well.
Good.
I did want to add that I know that increase, but Gwinnett and Rockdale, who we are a part of the district with, did make that same increase as well, right?
That is correct.
I want to make sure. But welcome today.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hi, so my name is Eric Norton. I am the CFO for Viewpoint Health. I would first like to thank you for your continued support that we've been receiving from Newton County over the years. And we are very grateful for the opportunity to request ongoing funding for the next fiscal year. As you know, but for the record, Viewpoint Health is a safety net provider of behavioral health care. Viewpoint Health is a community service board established under House Bill 100 in 1994. Viewpoint Health provides numerous services to approximately 16,000 individuals annually in Newton, Gwinnett, and Rockdale counties. In 2023, we served approximately 1,600 Newton County residents, most of them receiving services at our outpatient clinic located at 8201 Hazelbrand Road in Covington. We are grateful to have received funding from Newton County since FY 2007, and we hope to continue to receive great support from Newton County Board of Commissioners for the years to come. Today, I am requesting $254,282 in funding. This does represent an increase of $19,962 more than was granted in this current year. However, I just want to point out that this request goes back to 2016. That was the amount that we received back then, but in 2017, the amount was reduced by the 19,000. So what we're hoping for is that you can just bring this back to that 2016 level. And as Chairman Baines stated, Gwinnett County did raise us by about $400,000 this year, and Rockdale County added about $50,000. Just for the record.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Mason, any questions?
No questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric, and you always do a fabulous job, so thank you for what you do.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's Brittany.
All right, up next we will have Highway 278 CID presenting, and that information can be found starting on page 86 of your book, and they are requesting what they had last year, which is $30,000.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Mr. Cooper, Susan.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. The Highway 278 respectfully requests an appropriation of $30,000. This $30,000 will be used to pay for the program manager or project manager for our grant number 18009, which is for Phase 1 from exit 90 to Emory Street. Will also be used to fund the grant for Phase 2, which is project number 19217, and that's for the PE design there. The estimated amount of these grants are $90,000. This year to date, we've spent $47,071 on this program manager. We've asked the city of Covington to match the $30,000, and the CID includes a $30,000 as well. Through the 6 years that we've had the CID, we've increased the tax digest for the parcels within the CID by a little over 32%. That does not include this year's numbers. I just got the updated numbers today, so I did not include them in this summary. We have received 3 grants, one for the PE for Phase 1, one for the right-of-way for Phase 1, one for the utilities for Phase 1. The funding has been programmed. And then we will be applying with the tip solicitation due May 4th, for the construction grant for this phase. We have received the grant for the PE design for Phase 2. We've just received the notice to proceed from the Federal Highway and GDOT, and we have advertised our RFP, RFQ for the design team to do that project for us. The request we have from you today is the $30,000, which is an appropriation for funding, and we would like for you to continue to support the $320,000 commitment that you made for Phase 1. And when I apply for the tip solicitation, I will have to come before the board in April and ask for a continued letter of support for that. And then also, we were able to secure $1 million in SPOS dollars from both the Newton County Board of Commissioners and the City of Covington, and the CID will set aside $1 million to match that as well, and we ask that you continue to fund those dollars.
Thank you, ma'am. That keep us in partnership with the CID and the City of Covington, so thank you so much. Commissioner Mason, any questions? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Kathy.
If I have any questions, y'all have my contact information, and we'll be happy to.
I think he has one question.
I do.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have a
okay,
question.
okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're absolutely fine. Thank you for this, and thank you for the CID. I think having this CID truly opened up our community to the benefits of what CIDs can bring to our community. And I've been really trying to work to get an additional CID on the west side as they're expanding the Salem Road. Have we heard anything about that yet?
I haven't heard anything more
Okay.
from the initial contact from Rockdale County.
Okay.
So that was, they just asked me if we'd be receptive, and I said we'd work with them however we possibly could.
Okay.
And then nobody's followed up with me on that.
Okay. So I'll get in and I'll work with our county manager, Mr. Cooper, as well, to kind of ensure that we get that reconnection. Because I think it'll be great since they're expanding it. And then, of course, I recently heard that that project has been now moved to 2025 as far as construction. So I think that gives us some additional time to maybe kind of even begin to work on that. Because I think it's a major thoroughfare in our community. And so to have that expansion and then to have that CID as well. Now, if by some chance I'm not going to say if, when we are able to get that implemented and we have those businesses on that corridor that are open and receptive and want to support that CID, would that be a potential increase in what we're giving now for the current CID?
It would not increase the current CID.
Okay.
It would be,
Well,
it probably what will happen is it will be a separate CID for that area because the CIDs have to be connected contiguously. So we'll probably create a second CID in the Salem Road area and get the property owners to decide what those boundaries will look like, what that name will be, and of course working with your team here as well. And but you will probably begin to have requests from them for similar appropriations
Okay.
that we've asked here. One thing is, the Highway 278 CID is, this board chose to focus on road improvements and property tax increases. I mean, you know, upgrading the properties and that sort of thing, and we've done that successfully. The GDOT just moved the project let date from 2028 on their project to 2026, and we're hoping that they will match the CID project at the same date. If not, it's set for 2028, so, you know, it'll all be done right together. But there are other things the CID can do, and I'm working with some of the other existing CIDs around the state of Georgia to find out what those opportunities are. We're currently working with Economic Development Office, their retail advisories, and City of Covington and the EMCs to help bring in better contacts for tenants for these property owners, and trying to improve the quality, fill the needs, the requests of some of our citizens for, I mean, we've got a new Olive Garden that's done a project, that's a direct request from the citizens.
Right.
So, but it's taken us several years to get to the point to bring them here and to find the right location for them. So, and I think that same sort of thing will happen out at Salem Road, because
Right.
I need to talk to Chester, but I believe that your road improvements will have in them something very similar to what we're trying to retrofit here on 278.
Okay,
So
good.
I think you'll be like one step ahead of us there. But,
Okay, good.
I'll get with Chester and confirm that and let you know for sure as we move forward.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
And if Sarah's next, you might want to take somebody before her, because she's at the STEM
Okay.
office. I didn't think she needed to be here until 3. So.
Okay, well, we're gonna take a recess,
Okay.
so we gotta give her time to get here.
All right, thank
All right.
you.
Thank you. Guys, we're gonna move into a recess for a few moments.
Sing? No, I'm just.
Hold on.
You do your thing, boss.
Give me just a second. Switching books. Okay.
Good, thank you.
All right.
Hold on one second.
Apologize for my tardiness again.
Thank you so much, guys. We are now moving back into our work session. I'm gonna turn it now over to Ms. Brittany. Ms. Brittany.
Thank you. We're going to switch back over to the county department book real quick, and information can be found on 236 of your book for the county departments.
Thank you. Mr. Davis,
Yes,
thank you for
sir.
being here, sir.
Thank you. The coroner's budget is pretty straightforward. If you take a good look at that, the increase there in the regular employee, I want to explain that to you just a minute if I can. I think it was 4 years ago, elected officials received a $5,000 increase across the board. That was never provided to the coroner. Reached out to Commissioner Edwards about that by email. He forwarded it around, I believe, to yourself and others. That's why the $5,000 increase is there. It was something that was guaranteed several years back, but never received by the coroner's office. The other increases that you see are pretty simple. One, the county took and moved the per diem that's received during training into another category. So we just moved funds. As you see, we moved some funds from one area to the other. We just went ahead and increased that area to cover those per diems that are due to the coroner, deputy coroner for training. And then other items, contract labor, we did ask for a $5,000 increase there. That's because of call volume. As population grows, unfortunately, the coroner's office call volume grows. So we did ask for just a small increase there. Everything else pretty much stayed the same. So you had one area that the coroner's, basically the coroner's salary, $5,000 increase that should have been given to the coroner back when other elected officials received it. I think that was voted in or given to those by the governor. And then other items, we just moved some numbers. We tried to cover our increases based off of volume. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, and thank you for being here. Commissioner Mason, have any questions?
No, sir, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
I don't have any. Thank you. Looks pretty straightforward to me, and I think you've kind of explained where those increases are and provide us with a justification of why you'd like to see those proposed increases. So.
Right. Yes, sir.
I did have one question. And I know that I think our state lawmakers, did they change anything in you guys' budget this year?
We'll know at the end of the day.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's there is actually a
proposal,
budget.
right?
Well, it's going to be passed, I believe. The last word I got.
Yeah.
If it does pass, then we'll have to sit down before July 1st.
Yeah.
And revisit this budget.
Mm-hmm.
What they are doing is they are allowing for a salary to be placed
Mm-hmm.
for the coroner,
Yeah.
and for deputy coroner to be a regular employee of the county as far as a salary goes.
That's what I thought, yeah.
So what we'll have to do at that time is sit down and determine, since I'm already a regular employee, the salary would increase based off of what the law says. But the regular employee salary for a deputy coroner, we would have to sit down and determine just what that is to be. Also, if there are any, excuse me, if there are any benefits that are going to be offered to that person. Those are decisions that we'll have to look at and review. We'll have to look at the law that passes and see exactly what it says.
Yeah.
But they did provide a population controlled salary for the coroner and a deputy coroner salary to be put in place as well.
And also, I think too, with I think it's with the $100 per call. Is
Yes,
that
so
thing that you
there's
get?
quite a few little small changes that are
Yes,
coming.
it's a possibility that may be eliminated.
Right, well, right now, it's $175 a call.
Okay, yeah. So
What they
that
were gonna do is take it to $250 a call.
Yeah.
And $100 for those days that you worked without a call.
Yeah.
right.
I was like, hey, hang on just a minute, that's a considerable amount of money. But the salaries that will be put in place will take, and I've already thought about how to determine and how to propose a deputy coroner salary to you, if that's given us an opportunity to do so. The law may set it, but if they give us an opportunity to do it, my suggestion is we go back and look at historical figures. We go back and look at what they have been making, in this case, the one person, but what that deputy coroner makes historically over the year based off of that $175 per call fee that's required by law at this time.
All right.
So and it looks like the last word I got earlier today was that looks like it's gonna pass.
Oh, yeah. I was told that it would, so, yeah.
Right, yeah. So we'll see, and we'll sit down and do what's best for the county as we always do. But if that becomes something that we have to get involved in determining what that salary will be, we'll just look at historical figures. And it won't be difficult for us because we've got all that documented.
All right, sir. Well, listen, thank you so much, and thank you for what you
Yes,
do.
Apologize for being tardy at this meeting here today.
We'll,
Thank y'all very much. I appreciate y'all more than you know. Y'all look after me. I try to look after y'all. So
We're just glad to know that we was able to see you arrive.
see,
That's
here
right.
I am.
Yeah.
That's
in all
right.
my glory. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Greatly
you.
appreciate you. Oh, I know. Yeah.
All right, we're going to switch back over to our appropriation book now, and we're going to have up next economic development. Their request for FY25 stays the same at $350,000. Just saying. I know. I was running. I'm like out of breath. I ran. They said it was early. I know. I'm like.
Well, listen, thank you for being here.
Yes, sir. I do have a quick slide. Yes, ma'am. It's that one. I want to make sure that y'all see a couple of these things. Well, Miss Brittany's pulling this up. Thank you. Do you have a clicker or no? If you don't, is that it? Thank you. Ready?
Thank you. Yes,
All right.
ma'am.
Chairman, Commissioner,
Good afternoon.
and County Manager, Ms. Nolly. Great to see y'all this afternoon. Thank you so much for the opportunity and the time to be here. As Ms. White stated, we are requesting a continuation of our existing amount for our appropriation at $350,000 for our annual services. As the Industrial Development Authority, one thing I just want to take a second and share is that the Industrial Development Authority was established in the early 1950s. We are a constitutional authority, and this was stated from 1964 in our bylaws, but also remains our mission and goal today. And so it is something that we work toward every single day within the office. And if you'll read here, but if you'll give me a moment, our main mission in the Industrial Development Authority is to promote and expand the public good and welfare by industry and trade within Newton County by reducing the unemployment rate to the greatest extent possible. So our goal with everything that we do is to promote welfare and trade, which we result that back to the tax digest. And everything that we look at as our benchmark, also the health of the community, the wellness of the community as well too, and then also by creating jobs. That is really truly our point, that we want every citizen in Newton County to be able to have a job and have the ability to have a quality job also too through promotion of industry and trade. We focus on 3 points here in the Office of Economic Development, and these again go back to our mission there. And so it is none is bigger than the other, but it's fully in retention of our companies, our industries, but also our workforce, and recruitment of new businesses and trade, both industrial and commercial, and also those that we work with of our regional partners too, to recruit in new partners across the state. And then lastly, but again, certainly not last, is sustainability. And we look at sustainability in 3 different pockets. We look at it from our friends over in a utility base, so whether it be Mr. James Brown or Mike Hopkins or the city of Covington, and we think about electric consumption, water consumption, natural gas. And so we look at that as sustainability, but we also look at the health and the welfare of the community as sustainability as well too. Are people continuing in their jobs? Are they remaining in their jobs? Do they have a quality ability to obtain a job? And that's also a factor of sustainability as well too. And again, a quality point of the digest. We also look at sustainability as our infrastructure, our roads, our developments, our apartments, anything that comes in that could matter for sustainability of a healthy community. I think you know this, but just to kind of share, the work that we do is based on the people version of this and the growth. Right now, Newton County is about 119,000. We grew drastically in the last 5 years with 10,000 people. We're looking to do the same in the next 5 years, but quite frankly, I think that number's a little bit low. So we're thinking we'd grow another 10,000, if not more. These next 3 slides, and I think you all here should take also big points of pride in this, and you've seen me for quite a few years up here with the Office of Economic Development and also our work within our partners at the Chamber of Commerce that we work through for economic development purposes. This is a massive benchmark for us. So we talk about the digest, but this is also what we relate ourselves on a national level, the Distressed Community Index. So in 2015, you can see that we were a very red pocket fully in the South.
red meaning distressed, the concern, the issues of where our community is. And then the left-hand side, it shows what it rated that on. So that's the rating of no high school degrees, housing vacancies, adults not working, the poverty level, and our median household income. As of 2 years ago, post-COVID era, we have jumped to what the rating there is called is a comfortable pocket. So we have increased from that red area that was distressed to the comfortable area at 27.4. That meant more students were graduating, getting out of school. They were going to work, so our unemployment rate continued to decrease, and our poverty rate continued to decrease. I am so excited to share with you today and share with you in our budget hearing is that Brittany, sorry, she got excited, is that we as Newton County are now officially in the prosperous level. So congratulations. Yay. Yeah, I know. So we are so excited. This is a wonderful, wonderful feat. I wanted to save this for the budget hearing because you all help pay us to help make sure that we can get to this level. This is something we've worked hard with our regional partners on to reduce poverty, to get adults back to their jobs, to get jobs, working with your HR department, working with the city's HR, working with our private industries to make sure that they're getting our citizens to work to make that happen. Reducing the poverty rate so that people have the ability to feel comfortable and in a way to live their life comfortably. Now, this does not mean that we do not have poverty, because we do, but it absolutely means that we are heading in a wonderful direction. And if I will, I didn't write this, but I wish I did, but if you look at the top corner, it says that Newton County is prosperous with a distress score of 14.8. So we went from 27.4 to 14.8, and it ranks 22nd out of 159 counties. So I'm so proud of y'all. This is a true example, I think, of, what you all love to say, which is One Newton. This is a wonderful feat. I hope that this, continues to foster. This is a point of pride for our office, but it only matters when we do this and we maintain this rate, right? And we get better, and we now go from 22nd to maybe top 10 or top 15. That's a goal, and those are the reasons why, it's such an important part of the Office of Economic Development to continue working with the Board of Commissioners for accolades like this. One more, Brittany. So we look at this. Oh, that's kind of funny. We look at this, and this is one of the levels. I'm just going to do a couple quick slides. Is that over the last, I guess this would be close to 12 years, we've had a 48.2% increase of our median household income. This also factors back to our distressed community index. So we're now over to $72,000 for the median household income here. Sorry, these might go a little quick. And this is one that I want to share with you that also, as the work of why our office is also critical and where a lot of our funds go, is not only are we working to the greater whole about those prosperous aspects, but it's our workforce. We do a lot with education and workforce. And if you notice here, this is our workforce average. So it takes Georgia, the unemployment rate, our Newton area region, which is kind of our regional partners in about a 5 to 10 mile radius around the county, and then also just Newton County as a whole. The great news is that we have a really strong working environment. People are going to work. Our unemployment rate's at 3.9. But as you know, 3.9 with new jobs coming in, new jobs that you're adding, we want to make sure that we have the ability to fill them and get people to work. And so that, again, is why I ran over here. I was with the school system this afternoon and planning and preparing for summer work, fall work. Our work for workforce development is critical, and that's a lot of where your funding sourcing goes. We hold job fairs, we hold activities that you have been a part of, like Be Pro, Be Proud. We hold engineering fest, tools and trade fest, to make sure that our citizens are well aware of the jobs that are out there. And I think some of your unemployment rate is truly indicative of the work that we have done to expose people here locally to the jobs that we have here locally. We keep this number low, but we also keep it very tight because we're showing people what is out there as a job factor. And so this for us kind of shows a good, healthy environment, but also too, we need to continue that momentum in the right way. I'm sorry this is a little hard to read. You might have it closer on your screen. We work with the tax commissioner every year to look at your digest. So again, remember we talked about your digest being the main part of where we benchmark besides the distressed community index. I want you to take a look at 2017, and up at the top, really I'll start with the gross digest. at about $2 billion. The latest numbers that just came out, the end of 2023, we're now over almost $6 billion of a digest. And a healthy digest means rates are up, again, new improvements, and also where it is. Now, there are factors that could be in play here, such as inflation and things of that nature and assessment, but truly the majority of this is also new builds, new developments, new industry, new businesses, but also new homes and new housing, new commercial as well too. The one thing that I'll point you to, and something that again is obviously something that we're watching closely and why our office is critical for growth, is if you look at the very last column on the right-hand side, the breakdown between residents and commercial and industry. Right now, it's a little bit heavier in residential, but it's a lot of because we're building new homes, we're building new apartments, we're building new townhomes, which is something we've needed, that post-COVID era. But also, too, the bottom in industrial commercial is where our office works to recruit new development. New development coming in, new development, making sure that we balance that tax base. We are the arm that responds to state requests for information, site selector information. We are that agency that is recognized. And so that's a huge part of what we do and where our funding goes to make sure that we can balance out those numbers. A healthy digest would go back to about where 2019, 2020, and even 2021, when it was split about 65 to 25, and that's where we want to get back to. So we want to see new industry come in, new builds, new industrial development, and new commercial development. And you know these things from us as we are working on pockets around Stanton Grove, why we purchased that area for new industrial development, why we're partners in with the JDA, why we're partners even in with City of Covington on new development that goes in there too. Last piece that we'll talk about here is we have significantly decreased the retail leakage. Now, if you've heard anything from me, you've heard the leakage. And I give you a snapshot of, we did a flyer, this was even the City of Covington, so if you look at one side of the flyer, down at the bottom, it talked about sales leakage and also potential retail sales. This was purely just internal in the City of Covington, which had the majority of our retail opportunities. But if you notice that potential sales was about $700 million, our actual sales were at $400 million just in the city alone. If you look at the county, this is the new county map, and you can see that our potential sales are about $1.8 billion, meaning that we should be spending with our median household incomes, that is the potential sales that could be sold here. Today, we're actually reaping the benefits of about $1.4 billion in sales. That's the county as a whole, with our largest generator being the City of Covington, which you can see in about 2017, that number was only $400 million, and now we're over $1.4 billion. This is an indicator that we have new restaurants, we have new places to shop, we have new abilities to spend our dollars here locally as a part to somewhere else. Also look at the leakage number for the county as a whole. When I came to you in 2017 or others, that leakage number was almost $2 billion, and now we're at $400 million. Just need a few more restaurants and other retail spaces that we will continue to add and continue to push for that. So that's just a huge win for us overall. As you know, sales tax comes back to you all in a lot of ways, and you can see that as well too for SPLOST gains and other sales tax. I know everybody wants to see this slide, so this is the one that I know Commissioner Mason also loves about the Stop the Commute, and so we're here in 2022. This number is still around 37,000 people that leave our county every single day to go to work. Now, that does affect our unemployment rate, so people are going to jobs, but they're going outside the county to go to jobs. Some of the things that we're doing on this that we've been spending is a lot of data reporting, but also too, we have 2 new websites that are going to come into play. One being, it's called Connect Newton, and it's a partnership with our STEM group and the school system, and also our office of truly being able to connect skill sets and jobs together. Some of the reasons why we've done new programs in our school system that we help fund to do, like Engineering Fest, like Tools and Trade, programs such as that to work on, again, stopping the commute. In the last 2 years, we have spent a good number of our funding also too on wage and benefit surveys to understand where people outside to where our numbers align to make people want to stay at home. 2024, as people are still, again, the post-COVID era, but really coming back to look at where people want to work at home and being able to tap in that number. Want to say that we're a bit thankful that there's a lot of work on 285 right now, because that sale for people not going into Atlanta is a bit easier for us. And so to keep them here and wanting to be at home. I'm going to stop here and take any questions if you have any. This is just a makeup of who our business market is and where people are. But again, those were the snapshots. You know, we greatly ask for your funding support once again. And also too, for you to continue to be a partner with us. And I'm happy to take any questions, unless I could go all day, as you know, Chairman.
Thank you. Yeah, we ain't gonna do that, but thank you so much
Yes, sir.
for all that you do. I got a couple things I want to say, but I'm turning over. You have any questions, sir? Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you once again, Sarah, as always.
Yes, sir.
I have a passion for economic development, as I have stated so many times, and a lot of people know that it has become a part of even the work that I do as a commissioner, because I believe that it's vital to our community that we focus on economic development. A couple questions I had. You talked about the difference between the commercial and the industrial, where it was at 22%, versus the residential development, which is 71.15%. So looking at that, and we've kind of had this conversation before, we haven't had a follow-up in a while, but where are we, if at all, and this may even be something that our county manager can kind of help tap into as well, and I don't know if we've shifted our focus. I know for a long time when we were really growing, maybe from an industrial space. That's kind of where our focus was. That was what we were focusing on. But then we kept hearing a lot of residents saying, well, hey, I know we're focusing on the industrial piece of our development, but are we focusing on some of our smaller retail when it comes to development? And so have we by any chance somehow begin to now start having some focus, because our average household income has increased a little bit? Are we now in a position where we can continue to focus on the industrial, but also somehow strategically be able to focus on the smaller retail and really get and not to say that the retail that we have isn't great, because I think it's all great because it adds value to our community, but are we getting some more diversity when it comes to our smaller retail?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and thank you for asking that. As you know, I mean, economic development is cyclical, right?
Right.
And so it's really the chicken or the egg of what we play with. So for us, you know, as you saw in one of my previous slides, our median household income had to go up to
Right.
be able to offer these amenities like you speak of. And so we've done that by bringing the industrial pocket up, which is our main manufacturers, to offer the wages that we have now. I always say it, now we can have nice things, right? Because we can start to afford businesses like you're talking about. I'm not sure if many of you know, but I will share, because I think he was a great asset to the office. And so Asher Dozier was with us as VP of Economic Development. He went to a wonderful job at UGA. We're super excited about us being here, and then him going on to an incredible job. But the gentleman that we've brought in now, for that reason, in the office, the board was very intentional. Our recruitment effort was very intentional. He has a small business background for those points. He worked in the industry previously, was an executive at BD, worked at Kelly Products, but he and his wife have a very successful small business here in Covington, that, again, for that purpose, because I think we're ready to look at our entrepreneurs that are here, that are established, that have maybe one business and looking to make the second one, right, and to grow to the next piece, or a franchise. Or we're also looking at that to exactly what you said. We're on the map, we're on the market now, to say, look, we can go and have other amenities, maybe a diversification of amenities, and be able to really capture those. We're working with also the downtown city of Covington to look at their complete master plan, to think about a larger product here. We're also looking back with Shayna and the team and the Chamber of Commerce with your development services about pockets of where those can go that are already commercially laden. We've done research into your zoning codes for that reason to understand where assets will be, and so I appreciate Shayna's team to be able to let us in to see that. And then lastly, I'll say through a lot of all of our economic development work, we are close with the Chamber of Commerce, right? So economic development purposes come through there as the business and trade and the industry works with them. And Debbie and the team is going to start bringing in the UGA Small Business Development Center here 2 times a month. So we're going to start fostering this as a free service. Never before have we really been able to have where they would come multiple times in a month, right? We just were not at those numbers, we weren't at those factors, and now we are. And so that's a big win. So the answer is yes, and I think you're spot on that now we grow those pockets. Also too, I believe, and even talking to the tax commissioner about this, Mr. Jordan, is that when we look at the residential rise in this, it's because people are coming here due to our jobs, due to our wages. So we're seeing a heightened area of new residential pieces in this pocket now. And then now we'll see where you get stable, you get set, and you go, I want to open a business, or I want to start a business, or my partner, my spouse wants to create a business or open a new franchise. And so we absolutely will start seeing that becomes focus. Now, industrial is always something that we're known for as Newton County. It's a big product. Even on the slide about jobs, it's in our nature for generations. And so we do have still land available, again, products that we want to add in that, but commercial is spot on, and it's something we are really heavily going to focus on for that.
Excellent. My second question was, as we focus on our commercial development, which equals the increase in our tax digest that you mentioned, does that aid or assist in a level of relief for our residential property taxes?
I think it could. I think that you all hold the power of the budget, to be able to think about and do so. But I also will make sure that while, that could be an aid, but I would caution that there are still infrastructure needs.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And
correct.
so things that you and I've discussed that I'm so glad that, especially on the west side of town, that y'all pushed through to get the Salem Road project, working the Alman Road project to relieve road congestion. Infrastructure needs are going to be needed. And so when you think about the commute of these people, it was easy for them to jump on I-20. We want to make the ease of ability to go to a restaurant, to go to the other side of town, or to Covington or vice versa, anywhere, to make it ease. And that comes with infrastructure. So absolutely. I think that's why I bring up these 2 pockets showing in that, and I think we want to take clearly the burden away off the residential. That shouldn't be that big of a focus in this, and that's our goal to work on. But I think it comes back to you all and making sure that that balance of a budget. So.
Right, and the beautiful thing is that in some conversations that I'm having with some of our, like our Mike and our Water Sewer Authority, just having some of these conversations about how can, when we have these developers and builders come into our community or want to bring their product into our community, how can there be a partnership where they're building their product here, and how can they partner with us to help with some of that infrastructure, where it's not 100% on the backs of the taxpayers. So establishing that partnership, because they're bringing their product here, they're making a profit. How can we partner and there be some sharing when it comes to?
No, it's a great question, and I think it's a really wonderful and valid point. I think that you're doing a lot of that by starting the rediscussion back of impact fees. Right, and those natures, as the city of Covington just went through that. I think that, again, you saw the Chamber of Commerce, our office, really readily involved with that, as well as groups like the Water Authority and other agencies. Why it's so important that we stay connected, because I think that is important. We need to, again, while we're working with development services, while we want to revamp, pieces, while we're a part of all of that conversation together as a unit to make sure that we're doing what's well and what's right for the long-term sustainability of the taxpayer and the resident of Newton County. Absolutely.
Yeah. And one last thing, Mr. Chair, because you now have 4 other colleagues that I'm taking up for, taking their time too.
Wow.
I was happy to see, and I think the last time when we launched the Stop the Commute campaign, which is major, and I was so glad that we looked at that statistical data and we found those numbers and we saw an element that was potentially disallowing our average household income to increase because of the commute. And so I think when we initially talked, it was over 40,000, but it looks like now it's down to 37.
It is. So it's reducing, and we are seeing that due to the new jobs that are being brought in, but also too, I think the help that you all have made here is that, you know, so often we don't speak about some of our industry partners, and it's important that we really talk about them and celebrate them and talk about what great jobs they have here. Now, talk about the county jobs because they're wonderful too, but we want to make sure that we talk about our private partners as well also, and that's helped. You know, I will be reaching back out to you, you know, thank you, and I just want to say thanks to Amanda and the HR team and the leadership here of the county manager and even the chairman always, and you all, that you include us, right? So we participate in Family Fun Day, we come to those activities, the movie nights, you know, things of that nature. We want to make sure that you can see, and if we can connect you with our industries, if we can connect you with these groups of the school system, I think being able to visualize and see them more and partnering with those activities really make all the difference. And so for that, I think we have reduced that number just because generally people have seen people. The hospital is currently holding mixers and engagements for people who work in the medical field, but in Atlanta saying work here locally, and it's worked. Also too, the new housing has significantly helped with people wanting to stay also local, but also that have worked outside or wanted to think about coming in, rentals that now they're owning, or vice versa in that.
Great. Well, as one of the vice chairs of the Community Economic and Workforce Development Steering Committee for the National Association of Counties, that actually really helps, that I really am excited about economic development, and I'm looking forward to some great things. Thank you, Mr. Chair, finally.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We do got to get out of here because it's a schedule we're trying to stay on, but you mentioned some very important factors and keys, and I just want to highlight one in particular. You talked about City of Covington, you're talking about Newton County, you're talking about the Newton County Water and Sewage Authority, you talked about the STEM Academy, you talked about Piedmont Newton, you talk about all of these community partners and economic development team, and how we all work together, and none of this can be done without us being one Newton, and that's why we make that our rallying cry. And thank you guys for always being one that's out front leading that push. I know it makes your job a whole lot easier, and you're so successful in what you do, and so thank you for all that you do for this community.
Yes,
I know I don't say it enough, and I know I give you a hard time all the time at our board meetings, but I do want to tell you thank you for all that you do.
Yes, sir. No, it's an honor and a pleasure. I appreciate it. So
right.
thank you.
Thank you
all.
so
Bye.
much. Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to move on to our next presentation now, which is going to be the Newton County Health Department, and their request for FY25 is going to be $300,000, which is an increase of $112,450 from the FY24 budgeted amount. And their information can be found starting on page 121 of your book.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. How you doing today?
I'm good, Chairman. So good to see you, Commissioners. Great to see you again. Joseph is handing out. We always like to give you guys
right,
something,
Joseph?
you know.
Doing good.
So
Thank you,
our
sir.
request before you today is to increase our funding to almost the level of funding that we had in 2007. We were subsidized at that time at $314,091, as you can see. We just wanted to give you a history of what the boards of health have received in subsidy from y'all for the past 24 years. When the Great Recession happened, there were decreases, of course, in county funding thereafter until 2017, where it stabilized and has kind of remained at $187,550. So we're asking for increased funding to $300,000, the difference of $112,450, which would essentially give us one more entry-level nurse position in our health department. So in 2007, we had 21 employees, 8 of those were nurses at our Newton Health Center, and this year we have 15 employees, 5 of those are nurses. Nurses have been particularly hard to retain since the pandemic, as you know, because so we've experienced high vacancy rates and high turnover rates in Newton County, and primarily because we can't afford to pay nurses what the hospitals pay and other, private sectors pay. Compared to 2007, however, our nurses currently are paid $15,000 to $20,000 more than they were even back then. But our budget is very tight. And as you know, our population needs have increased as well. So I really want to make this point, regardless how you feel about abortion and that issue, the answer to the issue is prevention of pregnancy. And so we have really pushed our family planning services and birth control services. We give out free birth control and free long-acting reversible contraceptives, which are intrauterine devices and also the Nexplanon that goes in the arm. We give those out free to the people in our community who don't have insurance. And we've been pushing those greatly. And our nurses also in that same program do breast and cervical cancer screenings. So with the nurses that we have, the appointments that we are getting right now, these services are 6 weeks out. So right now, if you called, you couldn't get an appointment for one of this until May 1st or middle of May. So we could make a big difference in this wait time if we had, of course, another nurse in our center. So just to give you some numbers, the last quarter of FY 2023, we had 77 breast cancer, cervical cancer patients that were seen and screened, and we diagnosed 2 breast cancers that wouldn't have been diagnosed otherwise, and 294 family planning visits. And we see patients, regardless, who are early pregnant, we set them up for immediate Medicaid when they qualify for that. As you know, we could use funding in other areas too. One of the things, there's a bill before our legislature right now, depending on what comes out today, where local governments may be required to have naloxone doses in government buildings. We would like to be able to respond to things like that for you and provide that naloxone to you that you're required to have, if you're required to have it. So this is an example of how an increase in county funding, in addition, of course, to what we're asking, would allow us to respond to more emergency, threats quicker and easier. Another initiative we've talked to the boards of health about is a nurse home visiting program for women and infants who would be seen at periodic times after they deliver for up to the first year postpartum. And that will be really helpful in lowering the rates of maternal and infant mortality. So we've reached out to Piedmont Newton and trying to get access to their postpartum floor, which has taken a little bit longer than we thought. Used to be easier when it was just Newton Hospital and not part of Piedmont, but in any event, it's harder to acquire that now, but we would need obviously more funding in order to do that too. But we would really like more funding to support all of these things, if we could, but for now, we're just simply asking you for an entry-level nurse position to help us meet that with more and to help reinstate some of the funding that we've received in the past. So any questions?
Thank you. Any questions, Commissioner Mason?
Mr. Chair, no, sir, no questions. Thank you, Dr. Arona, for being here and for being a major asset to not only Newton, but to Gwinnett and Rockdale, to our whole health system. Thank you for what you bring to our community
Thank you
and
so
for the
much.
level of leadership that you provide.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I tell people all the time, you're going to go down in history being the face of you're gonna be in the face of the pandemic, the person who got us
Yeah.
through the pandemic.
That's right.
And it's gonna be Dr. Arona. She got us
That's
through.
right.
Well, listen, thank you so much for all that you do, and thank you for caring about these communities that you serve.
Great, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Commissioners.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you.
All right, so up next, we are going to have Newton County Family Connection. We are going to skip over McIntosh Trail. I believe that their director had retired, Miss Brown, so I'm working with the new director to try to get them back on schedule, so.
Okay.
All right, and so Newton County Family Connection, they are requesting, yeah, go ahead and get them out. They're requesting $20,000, which is $1,570 over what they had in the FY24 budget, and their information can be found starting on page 170 of your book.
Thank you. How you doing? Thank you. The Community Partner of the Year. Welcome, and thank you.
Good afternoon, and we've changed our allocation. We want $300,000 too. Actually, we just adore the work of the Public Health Department and appreciate, I know how hard they work, and we love working with all the members of them. I'm Laura Bertram, and for those of you who, I don't know that Mr. Cooper knows Molly Melvin. Oh, okay, is our program director, and I just want to say first, please allow me to say how honored I am to receive the recognition for the work of Newton County Family Connection. Our organization is only one of many, both large and small in Newton County, that work to partner with our families and make change. The award is for all of us and comes as a direct result of our being asked and being available in 2018 when Chairman Baines and the Commission formally, and I think for the first time, included those of us who speak for those of us who can't have any voice. And we're so honored to be part of that strategic 5-year plan.
Thank you.
We got to interact with leaders in a way we had not been able to do before. And so we were able to develop trusting friendships that helped us share the importance of considering not only the needs of our citizens, but the strengths of many of our citizens, and make that part of the plan. So we're here today to demonstrate in a concrete way the picture of how Newton County Family Connection, and I think that's just because there was some confusion amongst the commissioners on how we did operate. The money that we will receive will go to salaries, and by the end of this, you will know why. Georgia Family Connection is the state organization to which we are responsible. They have identified 3 different ways a county collaborative is able to operate. The first is issue-focused. You can see that best in the Athens community, which is highly sophisticated. They operate multiple strategy teams, multiple leadership. It's focused on high school graduation, and because the county understands the value of the families who live in their numerous low-income communities, they allocate $1 million per year to pay only for neighborhood leaders to facilitate community engagement within their own communities for their strategies. That is a huge value for someone who, for people, we keep wanting them to participate and we keep offering them, you know, like a $25 gift certificate. That is real investment into improving the lives of children and families. I'm not asking for that. The second is program-based, and these are appropriate for smaller counties, and in our region, we have many that are rural. These counties have fewer resources, and they rely on Family Connection funding to provide specific limited services within with a single staff member. The third is partner engagement, and that's where Newton County Family Connection falls. In a community such as ours, with limited local resources, and as one of the largest counties in the state, our community falls just in that resource gap between Athens and Atlanta, so we must learn to work with what we have. And we have learned that the best way we can do that and expand the impact of local services is to connect partners for collaboration. At the same time, Newton County Family Connection is small enough and flexible enough that we can respond collaboratively and efficiency for community needs. and I'll bring you to Molly, who will walk you through the packet.
So if you'll turn to your timeline, that's the second, it is the stapled piece. I would like to bring some highlights, just so that you have an understanding of how we have progressed from the beginning of the organization through developing partnerships that have specific community scale outcomes. If you'll start at page 5, don't want to take you all the way back to the back, but want to bring you to what I would consider close present. That page shows that in 2018 and 2019, we were working on large-scale health and literacy initiatives. What you see on your page is not the total of our work during that time frame, but it is the highlights. If you'll turn the page to 6, 2020, enter COVID-19. As the community began to shut down, we were identified as an essential service for 2 reasons. First, we had been identified as the chair of our Complete Count Committee for the 2020 census, and secondly, due to our ability to disseminate health-related information broadly throughout the community through established communication channels. We restructured our work creatively to continue to support our partners who struggled to serve our citizens with limited physical contact. Our COVID response reflects the speed with which Newton County Family Connection is able to respond to changing community climate and environment. You'll notice that by 2021, we returned to larger scale community work, specifically conducting the census on behalf of the county. Our work, with county support, yielded a 67.5% self-report rate, the 19th highest in the state, all without the ability to access our citizens for door-to-door canvassing. Page 7. It shows the beginnings of activities that are the result of the planning we had conducted during lockdown. Note that our work didn't stop, it simply moved into considered and strategic planning. We wrote for and received our first significant federal grant. The work funded by the Drug-Free Communities Program directly impacts the work of all of our partners included in our plan, most significantly, our school system, our health department, public safety, and neighborhood engagement. So I want to speak just briefly to the 2025 draft plan that we are working on now, which includes convening and facilitating strategies, 4 strategies in particular. Building a trauma-responsive community, and that is more than just learning the language. It is helping our community understand how important resilience is for our children and for our adults who experience chronic disease because of trauma experienced in early childhood. Increasing access to mental and physical health services, particularly for communities of color. We will be partnering with GNR Public Health to conduct our 5-year community health assessment with a lens to health disparities. Reducing substance misuse in youth ages 9 to 24. And that's not just a say no to drugs. That is youth leadership being built student by student, peer to peer. And improving the 3rd grade reading proficiency. These strategies were chosen as a direct response to the data provided by our state organization. You can see the data points on the next document. We call it the stoplight picture. The issues that should have the highest priority in our community are those that have incident rates similar to or higher than the state of Georgia. The 2 red dots and the yellow dots note benchmarks that are not only being addressed in our 2025 plan, but are also priorities listed by the superintendent in his recent 90-day report. Every strategy in our plan is integrally related to each other. Not one of the 4 strategies can be conducted or achieved in isolation of the others. So how do we implement the plan? We rely on collaboration with partners. This brings us to the final sheet in your packet that lists our primary community partner relationships. The list with asterisks notes where Laura or I sit on advisory boards to inform that agency's work. Many of the partners collaborate on more than one strategy. Our role is to be the conduit through the integrated planning and implementation. The rest of the list includes partners that are actively meeting with us during 2024. These lists are fluid from year to year based on specific initiatives and the strength of each individual organization, especially as relates to staffing levels and funding streams. We work on behalf of the Newton County citizens in a capacity that no other county department is charged to do. This includes being available to accept assignments for projects that may fall outside the county's ongoing departmental work, but arise due to immediate emergency needs. This has always been our pleasure and our privilege. And Laura will kind of take you to where we are now.
And so, sorry, no, it's okay. And so to end, I want to say, unlike smaller communities like Morgan and Oglethorpe, which are in our region, they maintain a single staff member. The size of our county population and complexity of needs requires at least 2 full-time staff. Georgia Family Connection Partnership provides an allocation annually of $52,500 to every county in the state of Georgia, and it is up to local decision makers to help fund the balance of staffing needs. From 2000, Newton County Family Connection has supported 2 staff members. If we did not have 2 staff members, we would not have been able to support the senior citizens who are applying for the home repair program, while at the same time fulfill our responsibilities to the plan that we submitted to for Family Connection work, which benefits every citizen in our county. You will notice our successes during 2023 and this year to date to 2024. We were able, with your help, to address both priorities, and we are truly grateful. We deeply appreciate your continued support with inclusion in the county budget, as we have been since 1996. And I just want to say I did not mention our budget, which you may have a question about, but we have scheduled our audit for the 2nd week in April, which I hope you all have a vacation first.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Mason, any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, I don't have any questions, but thank you for the work that you do in this area of work in our community. We need Family Connection. We need what you do. And so we just want to say thank you for what you do for our community. And I'm just ecstatic about all of the stakeholders that you all have partnered with, and how they're really helping come together in our community to really do this work and to address the concern that we do through Family Connection. So thank you.
You guys are the best. We appreciate all of you.
Thank you so much again, and we greatly appreciate all that you do.
Okay.
Thank
And this
you.
is available, shall I send it via email for everyone else to look at their leisure, or do we care?
If you choose to.
Okay,
Yeah.
I shall send it to Ms. Jackie.
All right,
So,
thank you.
Susan, thank you.
Thank you much.
Okay, we're going to move on to our next presentation, which is going to be Washington Street Community Center. Their request for the FY25 budget is $55,000, which is an increase of $10,200 from the FY24 budget amount, and their information can be found starting on page 200 of your book. Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much.
Gee, it's good to see you guys. It's almost springtime.
It is, it is.
Yeah.
Good to see you as well. Thank you for,
Happy Thursday, everyone.
thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Hello.
Well, I must report that things are alive and well at Washington Street. As a matter of fact, I just left a building full of noisy children for after school, but actually we've been having a terrific year.
Good.
And I do want to say that thanks to people like Family Connection, for whom we also are very much partner with, it keeps us in alignment with what's really going on in our county. We get to see the real numbers of what's actually the challenges and achievements that we've made over time. If you guys have been listening, and I know you have, then Newton County, we still have a serious issue with people who live below the poverty level. We still have a problem or challenges with working individuals and families. And that's where Washington Street comes in. We provide after-school care for our children immediately following school. we work with children, we've seen some stuff this year that it's really sort of coming to forefront, in which many of our children are slowly progressing in school as they should. There should be greater achievement, percentage-wise, in terms of grade levels, reading abilities. This was the first year that I really witnessed students who were in the 3rd grade that did not know how to read. We were just looking at documents yesterday of kids who really their penmanship is deplorable. We have more to do as a community in helping those kids who struggle in school. But aside from that, we'd like to think that we're some of the change makers, that we're making a difference in helping to tackle that particular problem. In particular, we have designed our program so that we give more to the intervention for children than we are in just giving them a fun place to be after school. We really do focus on helping to raise their intellectual level, as well as those specifically having to do with reading and math. And to do this, we have to group our children in areas in which they can learn and feel comfortable with learning, and are matched with kids who are learning at their particular grade level. However, what we have seen is improvement in those students. Those who attend our program for 30 days or more will see a significant increase in their abilities to learn in school. That has to do with behavior. It has to do not just with grades. It has to do with healthy environments for them. And we are really taking a look at the whole picture of where students are and families are. We feel that our role is not only to educate our children, but to be able to give them experiences that they probably never would have, to open up those minds and imaginations for wanting to learn more. I've shared with you some of the facts of the Washington Street Community Center thus far, and we're looking pretty good. We're actually looking forward to summer camp. We've already have over 50 children enrolled and counting. We'll have to say no to some of them. However, we're going to take the majority of those because we want to serve those kids in our community that really needs to have that type of enrichment during summer months that also continue to keep them connected to what they need to be about in terms of their school and education. But we do know that summer camp offers us the affordability and the opportunity to expand those minds in different ways. It gives us a chance to focus and zoom in on some areas of exposure for our children that will help them be better engaged about wanting to improve their own lives. So, enough said, we still continue to have many, many community partners and opportunities for those partners to come and share with us and for us to share with them. Our focus next year, or this year, is we've begun a focus of reaching out for community groups. We feel that not just Washington Street Community Center can be the only hub that serves some of our children who really need our help. And although we can only serve so many at Washington Street Community Center, we realize that we've got opportunities to serve children that exist in other neighboring communities, such as the Covington Housing Authority and the Nelson Heights community. So we're working in partnership with them. We want to help develop a uniform platform that can be used as a guide for all up-and-coming community centers here in Newton County. So therefore, we presented you with our budget. I'm not going to go over it. Hopefully, it explains, it's self-explanatory about that, but we are asking for an increase over the past 3 years. We feel it's time. The economy really demands that funding, we need to have an increase in funding. So therefore, we've presented our budget to you this year, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Mason, any questions?
Questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Ms. B,
Thank you.
for the amazing work. that you do in our community, and it definitely deserves an applause because of the hundreds of children that you are able to positively impact and affect in a major way. This is our future.
Yes,
They
it
are
is.
our future. And to be able to get them at an early age, to really help develop them to become who they are called to be, is an amazing work. And so thank you for what you do. The additional 10,200, and I think this is where I'm seeing it, is it to address or the offset the program expenses, stipends, program office, janitorial supplies. I'm not sure exactly what the 10,200 will help, but I'm wondering, is that what it's for?
Yes.
Okay.
Of those program items and the
Yes.
snacks, food that, you know, local bread used to be.
Yeah.
It's almost fine.
My wife reminds me of
And we
that
tried, you know,
quite
for
often.
kids, they could, you know, food sandwiches 3 days a week. So that's a lot of money for snacks at the much higher rate. And the
Yeah.
other program items, increase,
Right.
also with everything being internet related and computerized and things like that. We do have to pay for technology, for people to
Right.
keep it repaired. The county could no longer do it for us, so we had to hire somebody once we had the building renovated, thanks to the SPLOS.
Right.
So then we have to keep everything updated so the kids can stay in line with what's going on. So those, it's just basic increases on the things that we're already doing. It's not overly, but it's needed in order to keep functioning and being able to improve the kids and expose them to the things that they're facing for the future, which is technology.
Great. Well, that was my only question. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Ms.
And
Beacon.
again, I just wanted to make another note too, because I didn't do it, and so I feel that I need to do that, and that is to mention the fact that we've teamed up and partnered up with TaylorMade. TaylorMade, we feel, was a very important step for us because it helped us to add capacity building to our program. And whereas we serve young people, they're serving the big people. So they leave us, and we leave them, we put them in good hands with TaylorMade. You'll hear more about them later.
Thank you, and that's what I was going to say. You know, y'all are doing such a wonderful job. Not only are y'all providing these services for our youth like that, but you're partnering with TaylorMade and people like Resilient Women. They're able to come and see what y'all doing and help the community in other ways, and it's just so amazing.
Okay.
Thank y'all for being that hub.
Okay.
And thank you for what you're doing so much.
Thank you, and we just say, watch our dust.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we're gonna move on to TaylorMade. Since they're already here, so we're gonna skip over DFACS and library and come back to them when they get here. TaylorMade they were one of the ones who submitted a request via our website, so their request is the maximum amount that we do allow for the 501c3s per policy, which is $2,500. And their information can be found starting on page 298 of your book.
Hello.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Chairman.
How you doing today?
Thank you so much for allowing us to present before you today. I'm Darnell Taylor. I am the Executive Director of the TaylorMade Foundation, and I have here with me our Program Coordinator, Mr. Stefan Roberts.
You doing all right today?
Yes, I am. How about yourself?
You having a great day today?
Yes, so far so good.
Good, good, good.
So glad we were able to present a little bit earlier behind our partners, so we're
Good.
thankful about that. The TaylorMade Foundation was established in 2018, and we are a resource for education and training for the Newton County community. And we offer our services through 3 different programs. We have our Adopt an Elder program, where we pretty much go into the nursing homes and just provide them with companionship. A lot of them are aging alone in the nursing homes, so we're just providing them companionship there. We also have our Helping Hands program, which is for our adult learners ages 18 and over. And in partnership with the Washington Street Community Center, we've been able to offer them mental wellness workshops, as well as financial literacy workshops, where they learned about budgeting. And we have upcoming digital literacy workshops, where those in attendance will actually walk away with free laptops once they complete the workshops. So we're here today to present our third program, which is our baby, the Tailor-Made University. And as Ms. B stated earlier, we are the teen resource operating inside of the Washington Street Community Center. So we serve students ages 13 through 17, so it's pretty much the 8th through the 12th grade. And we're providing them with workshops. We currently have 18 students in the program, and we're providing them with workshops, career readiness, college prep. We have enriching field trips, entrepreneurship, etiquette, financial literacy, health and wellness, leadership, personal and professional development, STEM, and we also have a very huge component of volunteerism where we ask our students to work with us in the community, just giving back and helping out partners in the community to do their jobs and serve the community as well. We have an upcoming summer enrichment program where we have 23 students on the waiting list, and we're pretty excited about it. We're offering them classes in basic electrical work, basic home repairs, basic mechanics, basic plumbing, entrepreneurship. They'll be making chocolate, and at the end of the workshop, they actually have to present a business that they've created, a chocolate business that they've created. So we're pretty excited about that as well. Makeup classes, skincare classes, and also nutrition. And we do this work so that we are able to be an intervention for the teen students who may be at risk of risky behaviors if they're unsupervised after school, and also, during the summer hours. And so a lot of times we find that students who are from low-income families don't get to be a part of enrichment programs because of the cost. And so we've been able to provide our services for free for these few years. And we're at the point now where we actually have to start charging because of the supplies and because our numbers are growing. We started out with 10 students. Now we have 18 students in the program, and we're expecting 40 students this summer. So,
wow.
Yes, sir. Our participation, our numbers are growing, like I stated. Our students are thriving academically as well as socially. We have the students who are bullied at school, who may suffer from mental illness challenges, and so we've just created this safe space for them to just come and be themselves and just feel like they're a part of something special. And so we've seen them actually change before our eyes to one point where they were just like shy and reserved, and they'd mumble into like until they're speaking up. They're raising their hands to volunteer with us outside in the community. So we believe that we're making a really great impact. And the students, they're bringing their friends along. They're bringing their siblings along to join the program. So we believe that we're making a pretty good impact with the students. And we're making sure that they're more prepared for college, as well as workforce and just life in general. And they keep showing up year after year. So. And as we stated before, we're in partnership with the Washington Street Community Center, where we're providing education and training to the parents, not only the parents who are in our program, but members of the community just as well. So we're offering our services to them. The funding that we have requested will go towards the cost of field trips, supplies, meals, and snacks. And we know that high school is difficult enough as a teenager. Right? You have all these changes that are happening to your bodies. You have your hormones that are raging, telling you to do these crazy things. And so we're just here to just try to make that transition from childhood to adulthood a little bit easier for them. And just like I said, creating a safe space. And we're just hoping that we can have your support and your participation in making that happen for the students and providing us with the funding to do so.
Thank you. Can I send my daughter over there? No,
yes, how old is she? Yes. We still have some slots open for the summer, so yes.
Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Ms. Darnell, for the work that you do. When I see our different nonprofit organizations within the community doing great work such as this, where Ms. B was talking about at Washington Street, how that they're helping our smaller children, and how you're taking the baton and helping our 13 to 18-year-olds, preparing them for college, preparing them for the next step in adulting. I know because I have a 19-year-old and a 16-year-old, and so I understand that they deal with the fear of becoming an adult. and that whole transitional period from, okay, I'm used to depending on mom and dad, and now I'm getting to the point where I'm having to be independent of them. And so I think having a nonprofit like Tailor Made, being able to invest in them and prepare them is great. And so I keep hearing great positive things about all that you're doing. I get the newsletters, so I get an opportunity to kind of even get a snapshot from a distance to see. Actually work with you at an event previously. Looking forward to possibly doing some more events to really be able to have a greater impact on these 13 to 18-year-olds. So I just want to say thank you for what you're doing in the community, and keep up the great work.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. And just coming over there, seeing you guys in action, and just hearing the passion that you have for what you're doing. Can't say nothing but keep up the good work.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
All right. I think next is Resilient Women. Mhm.
Okay, our next presentation is going to be Resilient Women. They are another one who applied for an appropriation via our website this year, so their request is $2,500 as well for the maximum amount per the policy, and their information can be found on page 326 of your books.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Much obliged on the behalf of Resilient Women. I want to first go over the details of the breakdown for the budget that I just gave you the papers of. Stable down to $2,500, then we'll have some extra expenses of $995. But as a board, we've decided to kind of add a event every year because we don't have a full-time we don't have full-time employees. Everybody's part-time. We kind of just have to do things when we get the chance to. So this year we're going to do the back-to-school event, the trunk or treat, which we did with the county last year, and we're going to try to add a mental health awareness walk. And I think that kind of speaks for itself when the budget is there. You have any questions about the budget?
Any questions, Commissioner?
No, sir, I don't have any questions.
Okay.
Okay. And leading to the presentation, is it just, okay, gotcha. Skip all that. That's, kind of a extension of what Ms. B said, and talking about the Nelson Heights community, the Nelson Heights Community Center. I kind of did some research and looked at the strategic plan from 2019 to 2022 that you guys did. These are just some statistics in the county that I think are important, and then here's the things that we talk about when we talk about the strategic plan: enhancing the quality of life, growing the economic development in the county, and providing a safe and secure community. Within that, these are the programs that we think align with the strategic plan and will be well to implement into the Nelson Heights Community Center. I'm sorry. And we could table this discussion right here, but I just wanted to make the initial announcement for funding for those programs, and they're there, and they have descriptions here. The kit I sent to Ms. White, so she has all the descriptions on what we look to do with those programs.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any questions? All right. Thank you, and thank you for what you guys are doing. I know you're partnering with Viewpoint Help too on some things. So thank y'all for thank y'all for making a difference in the community. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank y'all.
think we're gonna go to a quick recess. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Guys, we're winding down today. We're gonna move back into our work session. Turn it over to Ms. Brittany.
Thank you. Our next presentation is going to be Newton County DFACS. Their request for the FY25 budget is $109,619, which is what they received in the FY24 budget. So there is no change, and their information can be found on page 261 of your notebook.
Thank you so much. Greetings and welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, just a little bit closer.
A little bit closer?
There we go.
All righty. So I am Kenya Wooden. I'm the County Director with Newton County DFACS. I've been in Newton County for 3 years. And so for our county funds are used in all program areas of DFACS. And so whether it's a family that we're working with in CPS, that we've gotten a call about their house, we use county funds to pay for exterminators to come out, to assist with things like that. We use county funds for just today. We have a youth that is aging out. He's turning 18. He's decided that he wants to go into the military. And then there's stuff that I learned today about the military. Like he had to have $50 in cash. Well, I can't just give out cash, but we took up donations in the office and we gave cash. But if it was my son that was going out into the military or going off to college, we would have a family party. We would have a get together.
Yeah.
And so we use county funds to purchase him things like, we got a big bag today. We got like soaps, deodorants, stuff to send him off with.
Supplies.
Underwear, t-shirts, socks, and all of the stuff. We chipped in and we bought pizza, got his favorite snacks, just all of the stuff. He didn't know anything about it. We decorated the office. But that meant something to him. And so we use funds for things like that, things that our youth don't have because they don't have a family to send them off. He don't have anyone besides the staff. And so we have to make it a point to try to do things like that for our kids that are in foster care. We use county funds for what we call like unusual medical. We know that with insurance will cover things, for an example, braces. Some of our youth have some challenging behaviors, right? And so I don't know how she did it, but she somehow broke most of the brackets off of her braces, but insurance wouldn't pay for that because we just put the braces on. And so I talked to the board, our DFACS board, and they approved for us to use some of the county funds to get to get that fixed for her. And so it's things like that. We have a wonderful board. I have no issues getting in contact with anyone on our board. They're very responsive to us and to our needs. And so it's just a variety of things that come across my desk that families need in the community to be successful. And for our children that are in state custody to have all of their needs met. Because we know like the foster care per diem that foster parents get is very limited, right? And it only covers basic needs. And we want our children to feel like every other child. And so we had a young man, because of the age that he came into foster care, he doesn't qualify for independent living because he'll be 18 next month and he recently came into care. And so if he was in care and he qualified for independent living, there's portions of money that's set aside for kids of that age, but he doesn't qualify for it, but he wanted to go to the prom. And so we used the county funds to make sure that he had a tuxedo and looked nice and had everything he needed for the prom. It's the little things that people don't think about that goes a long way with these funds, because if we didn't have the county funds, a lot of that stuff comes out of our own pockets as DFACS staff. And so it is very, very helpful because everybody knows if you work for the state, you don't make a whole lot of money. And so when you're looking at case managers that would have to be, pulling from their pockets for stuff like that, it makes a difference to be able to talk to the board about things. Staff appreciation. We use county funds to help support in that area too, so that everyone feel appreciated for the work that they do, because our work is 24 hours, 7 days a week. It don't stop at all, right? And we receive calls middle of the night, early morning, holidays, weekends, it doesn't matter. And so showing a little appreciation goes a long way. We try to support things that's happening in the community. So for an example, Prevent Child Abuse, Rockdale Newton, they have like the next month is Child Prevention Month. And so they have their walk, and so we'll participate in that. We participate in the Domestic Violence Task Force walk that they have out here every year. We participate in those things. We partner with the Sheriff's Department and do a big back-to-school event every summer. And that goes a long way. That serves the whole entire community, whether they have cases with us or not. It serves the whole community. I don't know. We wouldn't be able to do anything if we didn't have the county funds. We wouldn't be able to really, really, truly support people the way that they need support. Sometimes it's families that's trying to get on their feet, and sometimes we use funds for that, helping people pay rent, helping people pay utilities, things of that nature, to prevent children from coming into foster care. So we kind of use the funds in ways that we can prevent them from entering the system if we can help. And typically in situations like that, we always sit down with families, we do a budget. I don't like to be wasteful, right? So if you don't have a plan, we're not gonna just be paying for stuff, and then the next month you need somebody to pay for it again, and then the next month you need somebody to pay for it again. So we sit down and we really, really come up with a plan so that you're not dependent upon the agency. And that's our whole goal for the state, is for families to be self-sufficient. Now we do struggle in our community with public transportation. A lot of our families don't have transportation, and that's a huge, huge burden for them to even meet their case plan goals, even if they're up under court orders, for them to be able to meet the things that they have to do. If you don't have transportation, that's a big deal. And then especially a big deal for a family that have multiple kids. It's okay to catch a ride with somebody that's just you, or one child, but when you start talking about multiple kids, it's harder to catch rides and get around. Affordable housing is a problem for a lot of our families. Being able to find places here that they can afford to pay for, because we know with the world that we're in now, everything has gone up, and so the cost of things have gone up to support families. But we are here to do whatever we can to support the families of this community. Our work is hard work, but it's worthy work. A lot of people talk negative about the department because what you see in the news is never anything positive. It's never talking about when children are reunified with their families. You never see that in the news. You never see in the news how many hours we put into working with families and how hard we work with families to prevent their children from coming into foster care. There's so many things that we put in place to try to keep children out of the system, try to keep children with families. So our kinship really is growing, trying to really put kids with family outside of just regular foster home and foster home settings. And so a lot of work goes into that. And it's unfortunate that the news don't ever really put out the good things that happens with families. You know, you only hear the negative side of things. And so I personally make it my personal mission to always be the opposite of what is put out on TV, right? So even if you watch a good movie and it's dealing with social services, it's always the negative tone to it, right? And so I really, really try to stress to staff that it costs us nothing to be kind, right? To each other and to the families in the community. Even when they don't want our help, we're here to help, and that's the purpose of us. And so that's DFACS. It's, I can say this, that it has taken like 3 years, but we are fully staffed, knock on wood.
Yay.
That lasts for a while, right? And then I have had some staff that has stayed on. So for the first time, I was able to promote up 2 case managers to a social services specialist 2, because they have been here for 2 years. They have good positive performance reviews, and they are very active in training and does a good job in their work. And I was also able to promote a supervisor up to an administrative position. Newton County has never had 2 administrators. And so now I have an administrator for foster care and administrator for CPS, which that helps a lot with the work.
Wow.
So.
Listen, thank you so much. Commissioner Mason, you have anything?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Ms. Wooten, for this work. It's outstanding because, like you said, we want to do things to prevent our children from getting into the system. And I think if we can take the funding that we have to be able to invest in them so that we can prevent that, I think it is amazing work. I'm glad to hear you're fully staffed. I'm glad to hear good feedback on the DFACS board. And so I'm glad that they're in support and they are supporting you and our DFACS department. And so thank you for your continued work, and just keep doing the great work that you're doing.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And I'd just like to add thank you as well. Hearing you and your testimony, it brought back memories because my first professional job was in social services, state government. So I understand that it's a very noble deed, and you hit the nail on the head. They never talk about reunification. They never talk about when that child or when that family has completed their case plans, So I understand the day-to-day struggles, and I understand that the reward is truly in the work that you do, and it's a ministry. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you so much. It takes a person with a special heart, and sounds like you have that special heart, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, have a great one.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, our next presentation will be the library. Their request for FY25 was $966,452, which is an increase of $50,000 over what they received in the FY24 budget. And their information can be found starting on page 278 of your book.
Good afternoon. I'm wonderful. How y'all doing today? Good, good. Oh, okay. I'm gonna let you bring that mic down some. So.
We're short people, right?
Yeah. I'm let
We are definitely challenged.
What happened to your leg? Yeah, Ms. Lace. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you so much for allowing us this opportunity to speak with you today, this afternoon. I'm Carol Moss. I am on the Board of Trustees for the Newton County Library System, representing District 5. Also, I'm a school teacher, so I'm very familiar with libraries and the benefits that they have for children and all, citizens. As you know, libraries receive their primary funding from county taxes or grants. Grants are normally used for specific reasons, but we heavily rely on you, our Board of Commissioners. I think we all can agree that the library is a very vital part of any community, whether it be provide a safe haven while serving our youth, a good place for them to go to educate themselves, to further their education. Also providing books to encourage literacy as well as adult literacy, and allowing older adults to stay engaged in a rapidly moving digital world. Please consider and keep in mind all the endless benefits of your local library. It is a place for all citizens to go. They play a fundamental role in society, creating lifelong learners and providing resources that further the advancement of literacy in the community. We have a wonderful children's program at the library that we bring in lots of youth from the community from all parts of Newton County to come in, and they can participate in story times, crafts, projects. Also, it's available for our older students to come in and work on research projects, or just actually further their reading on a topic they may be trying to pursue in their career. We also offer a genealogy room where people can come in and dig and research and have access to those types of tools as well. We have a
video, a slideshow that we would like to play. These are also members of the Board of Trustees. We have here with us, and then we have Lace, our director, Mandy. And we would just like to present a slideshow to kind of show what we represent, what we do there. So.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Lace Keaton. I'm the library director. You know I watched you all's State of the County address on Tuesday, and I know you talked a lot about what you do for the community. I wanted you all to know that in our mission statement, what we do is we support the community in Newton County and in Covington, and we provide lifelong enrichment. It's not just for kids, even though most of our programs and things seem to be geared toward children. So I know that everybody wonders, what do libraries do and how do they actually do it? We had somebody say, well, how come you guys aren't doing this? You cannot be busy. Actually, we can be busy. We actually, believe it or not, to run a library, actually go to library school. I know there's been some talk about Valdosta has a library state program. We actually go to school to learn how to run a library, and it's called library science. And how we apply that to the community is that we do community surveys. We read a lot of professional journals to find out what kind of things are available. We also watch the current trends like movies, TV shows, newspapers, anything to see what people are reading and what they're interested in. But the main thing that we do that people probably don't realize that we do is that we run a lot of statistical reports on our community to find out what they actually want from their library. All communities are not the same, so all public libraries don't buy the same thing. We don't say, hey, that book is really pretty, let's buy a pretty book. We actually use the library science and statistics to decide. So if you look at this pie chart with our 2014 collection, notice the red area and the blue area. This was in 2014. Okay, this is our 2024 collection. Notice that the red got smaller, the blue got smaller, but now there's the green, which is 2010 to 2019, and 2020 to 2029. So we're adding new current materials all the time based on what's out there in the world and also what our patrons are actually asking us for. And we use those statistics and that science so we can tell you what were the top books that the people in Newton County actually are interested in. And you notice most of them are children's books or actually adult fiction books. This is something really interesting, and we gave you all, these are literacy kits that we give. They're little craft kits, and we also put in, the letters of the alphabet that correspond with the craft kits. This is something that was left over from COVID. When our library was closed, we were like, how do we, keep people engaged with what's going on at the library? They could pick up holes, but we were like, the kids aren't coming to programs anymore. So we started these little kits back in 2020, 21, and people would drive up to curbside to get their library books, and we would give them to the kids. Well, a lot of libraries across the country were doing that, but at the end, when it was over and the libraries were open again, people were like, oh, this is over. Our community said, where are your kids? We want more kids. So we were like, oh, okay. So we give out at least 350 per month, and we had to cap it because we probably could spend our whole budget on these kids. What else do we do? Not just that. We have 40 plus other services that we provide. Not just the books, but a lot of other services that we provide as well. And people don't realize this. We're an agency. So we do what other agencies do. We have things like accounting. We have our acquisition, shipping, receiving, annual reports, human resources, legal issues. We have state and federal deadlines. Plus we do our programs. We had over 9,000 people come to our programs. We have one staff person who does our program. And we also work with other agencies. I don't think people actually realize that, but we actually partner with other agencies in the community. Keep Newton Beautiful does a shred day at the library, I'm sure you all know. We work with the school system. We had a summer student for the College and Career Academy. Oxford College helps us pack those kits. The Service Guild helps us when we need help. We've done some things with the Chamber of Commerce, and we started doing the Ask a Lawyer service probably in January this year. So what does that all have to do with our budget? This is an example again of the science and the statistics. We spent $102,000 on just materials last year. That means books and DVDs and things like that. We gave you guys a receipt that shows you what the value is, sort of like what the grocery store does. This is how much you save. If the people in Newton County had actually bought those books that we spent the $102,000 for, the value of it is $2.5 million. If we got that, we can run a report that can tell us what our value is for what we spend and what the use is. All right, this is a little bit different. We talked about the books, and we circulate books. That's how many books check in and out. We do transits. I know you guys have heard about Pine, so we have to pack those up, send those out to other libraries, and we also receive transits. We also added 5,400 items last year. Just to do that is almost 700,000 different tasks that our staff has to do. Just to do that, that's not any of the other things I told you all about. None of the administrative stuff, none of that. That is just to keep the books and the DVDs moving. All right, when I started working here, we had 41 staff. We have 14 staff. That's it, and that includes me. That is, we have 9 full-time people and 5 part-time people. That is it. To do all those hundreds of thousands of things that you see, and I just showed you a glimpse of what we do. That's what it is. We spend 60%, just over 60% of our budget on staff, on our staff, benefits, salaries, and wages. So our request has to do with our health insurance. The reason why we ask you for so much, because we didn't know this, but we have state health benefit plan, which is our health insurance. We found out late last year that it was voted that it was going up. So our insurance for our people who are full-time, because only our full-time staff get benefits, it was $843 per person per month. It went up this year to $1,093, and by 2027, it will be over $1,500 a person per month. Okay. The biggest thing with that is that it is tied directly to our teachers' retirement benefits. So we actually cannot pull out, or else we will lose our benefits, because after you retire with TRS, you get to keep your state health benefit plan. We can't get out of it. So our treasurer, who unfortunately, Mr. Turner, who is not here today, he did this chart for us to show that the last time we received a real appropriation from the county was in 2009, 900,000. We received the same 900,000, 6,452, and that's what the inflation is. So it's half, a little bit more than half. So the money just doesn't go as far. And then we have things like our health insurance. We have a really great staff and a really great board who are very supportive of us. And we don't have a whole lot to offer staff when they work at the library in terms of benefits and things like that, because we do everything ourselves. We get appropriations, local and state, and then we have to do with it what we can do with it. So it's really important that we are able to actually keep our health benefits for our staff. So I just want to say thank you for supporting us all these years. We very much appreciate it. And if you have any questions.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Mason, have anything? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Ms. Keaton, for the presentation, and thank you, board, and thank you, staff, for what you do to provide the services in our local communities when it comes to libraries, our library system. And I'm sure you all have probably heard, but of course it's out on social media. Why aren't the libraries open? And so I just saw your slide in regards to how many staff you have. And so I don't know if our community knows or understands the manpower that it takes to be open for a certain period of time. And so hopefully, as board, as staff, as our executive director, even as the board of commissioners, we can all come together and do a better job of educating our residents to say, this could be a reason why. And maybe you can speak to that just a little bit, because I know with the library being in District 2, in my district, I get a lot of it. Commissioner Mason, why isn't it open? Why isn't it open? And so if you can just speak to that, just so that people kind of know why maybe the library isn't as open as often as maybe our residents would like to see it.
Right. Yeah, we feel the same way. we wish we did too. But I can tell you, a public library, you can tell. The more money, the more services. So when you see these big library systems in Atlanta, they have more people, they have more money, they can do more. You know, everybody has shortages right now. Yeah. But it's hitting us hard too. And you know, we think all the time. But as you can tell, we have a lot of responsibilities, and we just can't say, especially with state and federal deadlines, we can't just say, well, you know, we don't have anybody. We can't do that. So we are actually doing as much as we can with 14 people as humanly possible, because things just keep coming in, and believe it or not, people are using us more and more and more, but we need the manpower and we need the money, because with our insurance going up, that means that's going to be hard to recruit people, to increase the salaries, to do anything. We actually did not know that was coming. That was something that got voted on last summer, and we kind of found out after the vote. But we can only do so much, and basically going from 41 to 14, guess where that money came from to run the library? We reduced the staff to make up the difference in the money that we haven't been getting all these years. It hasn't been keeping up with inflation. So that's basically what it is. We still do a lot of services. We just can't do everything.
Right.
The more money we have, the more services, and the more people we have.
Right. Is there I don't even know if this is allowable or not, maybe, and I'm just going to push this out there, but is there room, or is it allowable for volunteers, or does everyone that work in the library have to be paid staff?
We can do volunteers, and we have some volunteers.
Okay.
We also have one student who worked with us from the Newton College and Career Academy, who liked it so much he wants to come back again. So he's doing like a work study program, and we're like really excited. The thing is that there are limited things because of confidentiality and privacy that we do, like those transits that we were showing, those thousands of things that we get with Pines. Right. Only staff can handle that, and only staff can work behind the desk. So basically what it ends up being is we have volunteers who help us pack the craft kits. You know, they can shelf, but they can't actually help us with the library task, which is where we really need people.
The help.
And it takes time to train people, because everything we do is done on a computer.
Yeah.
So, you know, they come in and we have to train them how it's done in the library. So a lot of that privacy and confidentiality that came along, and, you know, mandatory reporter training and all those kinds of things have really made it to where we almost have to have. We can have volunteers, and we're happy to have them, don't get me wrong.
Right.
They help us with our programs. They can come in and help, you know, with the kids and helping them with the crafts and things like that. But the real behind the desk stuff has to be paid by our staff.
And that's what the 50,000 that your proposal is, will help?
That is just to help us with the benefits.
Just the benefits?
Yeah, just the benefits. That has nothing to do with salaries and anything like that.
Okay. That's all I had. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to take this time to thank you and your board for not just sitting back and doing nothing. Thank you for adjusting and making sure that this valuable tool stays in the heart of the citizens here in the county. So I know it takes a lot. I know you're dealing with a lot with these pay cuts and things like that, and I know you dealt with a lot with COVID too. So thank you for what you guys are doing so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Y'all have a great afternoon. All right.
See you later.
Brittany, I think that's it for today. Is that it for we got one more? Okay.
It's,
Well, we're gonna take a recess until they get here. All right, thanks. Thank you. Guys, we're gonna go back into session. Brittany.
So we're about to have our final presentation of the day, and the presenter will be Kouregous Black Girls. They did submit an application via our website for the $2,500 for the 501c3s, and their information starts on page 340 of your notebook. Come on up.
Good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon. Okay, so I'm just going to give a little background of Kouregous Black Girls first. I started my own mentoring program in 2019. I'm originally from Covington, Georgia. So I have girls from Newton High School, Jasper County, Alcovy, Eastside, some from Social Circle, and majority of my girls are in college. So right now we came in geared towards specifically Black young girls, but I opened it up last year to everyone. So I just wanted to give everybody a fair opportunity at college to learn something that I didn't know before I went to college, and then also bonding and working with other people. So for the budget, originally what I put online was the $2,500 because that's what I seen was the max. And normally I take care of it myself, and we do have sponsors, and we do fundraisers, and we do take in donations. So I just put the dates. So since COVID hit, I'm Jaquila Butler. I normally, we do like 4 events a month, but I cut down after COVID, so we only do 2 a month. And basically you can see on here, the first event that I have for 2025 is a resume workshop, and then I have a workout event, but I did express it's open to everyone now. So I don't want to limit it to it being certain girls because I am in a sorority, and I do know people have to try out and they pick and choose. I want my program to be open to everybody because I feel like everybody should have a fair chance and get to know what's out here in the world. So basically, I just went ahead and budgeted out the costs that I normally spend, or some people may say like, I called one lady, we did a painting in the park, and I hired an artist, she was $450, and she said, I'm gonna cover it myself because I love what you're doing. So she came out there and that was covered, and I just had to take care of snacks. But basically, we do community service. That's what I'm very big on, community service. We do it down here in Covington, Conyers. We go all the way up to Atlanta because I went to school at Georgia State. So I want to make sure I hit every area because I do want Kouregous Black Girls to be global. I don't want to just keep it here, but I do want to start with where I came from. So basically, I just have all of our events here. I have the estimated costs, and then the total for the year. And then, as I stated when I first submitted online, I seen it was for the $2,500. So whatever we're getting in is gonna help. So anything helps. Did anyone have any questions?
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm interested in finding out more about what your nonprofit does, how you are helping children in our communities. So thank you for your submission, and I'm looking forward to really getting to know more about what you do and how you're helping our community, and see how we could potentially help from our perspective as well. So thank you.
And thank you. Let me go ahead and add, I sent 6 girls off to college that weren't even thinking about college. They're now in their sophomore year. I have one at Kennesaw State, Augusta, Clayton State, Georgia State, FAMU, and Savannah State. Thank you.
That's it, sir? That's it. Thank you for submitting. You're doing a wonderful job. I've been following you for a while, and I'm very proud of you. Let me just say that.
Thank you.
The things that you are doing, just proud. Just proud.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brittany. You done?
We're done.
We're done for the day. Thank you. Guys, we're actually done for the day. That was our last one, and I'm gonna close us out and finally adjourn us for the day. All right, thank you so much.